Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. We don't care what time it is. Welcome to VIP Productions episode 3 with myself, Rob, and with somebody who doesn't seem like themselves. I think they're an imposter, but I'm not 100% sure.
Hi everybody. You just have to excuse me for my voice. I've got man flu.
Yeah, and you had to put up with watching the Saudi show, so I don't blame you. And the American election tomorrow, so yeah. This is the good point of our week.
Go Trump.
No, VIP Productions does not endorse any particular candidate, nor do we care.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, obviously JJ is feeling a bit under the weather, but here we are, episode 3. I mean, apart from asking the obvious question, how have you been apart from feeling like this?
Oh yeah, grand mate. Thanks. Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, like saying up and down as usual. But hey, I mean, I always like stuff to be better. Right. I like stuff to be better, but hey, then again, what can't be better in everyone's daily life?
Yeah.
But this show is a I suppose it's a preview of Born in Fire 12. I mean, we've been going. I mean, it's been going. I mean, when was the first Born in Fire? What year?
2007.
Jeez.
I know.
Yeah.
It's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like, yeah. But today we're going to run through the card. We're going to run through. Oh, sorry, run through there. Run through the card for this for Born in Fire 12. Also, JJ's kindly digged out Born in Fires he has worked on, and it's interesting. I mean, well, we're going to run through about half of them today, and we're going to do a post show after Born in Fire in about 3 weeks or so, and we're probably going to run through the rest of the Born in Fires up until 12 from that point on. But yeah.
So, what point we're going to start at then, mate? What do you want to talk about? Sorry, I sounded like Cody Rhodes there.
As long as you don't have that stupid neck tattoo, you'll be fine with me.
No tattoos. I think Ed's got he's got a neck tattoo, hasn't he?
I honestly don't know.
I think he has.
But yeah, why don't we start by going through your general history of Born in Fire itself? I mean, you kind of give me the cards for Born in Fires 2 to 6.
Yeah. Yeah, so because I can't find one, it's somewhere, but it's before I was doing this anyway.
Okay.
I think I joined in like May 2008. So my first one was Born in Fire 2, which at the time I think River Ace was running it. I don't know who else was at that time because we had 2 shows, if you remember. We had Shutdown and Lockdown. So we had a show on a Monday and a show on a Thursday. Yeah. But it's always been like the big, as far as 6WF was concerned, it was the big event, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've always considered it to be like just the show, the WrestleMania. Personally, not knocking Night of Glory, but I still think Born in Fire is the show.
I think it depends, doesn't it? Now, I think we've got a split because some guys started in 6CW, so I think they'll consider Night of Glory the biggest one. For us that started in 6WF, we probably see Born in Fire as the bigger event. But I just look at it because they're pretty much 6 months apart. I always just consider it like they're both. So we have like 2 WrestleManias.
Yeah, I can understand that. Oh, but let's quickly get through this before your voice dies.
No, it's fine. We're good.
Opening Born in Fire 2, Crime Lord v Leroy Smith. I mean,
Leroy Smith was a mate of mine in real life, who I got to sign up, and like he didn't stick around for that long. He actually went over it. He went over in that match, which is mad.
Well, I mean, Crown Lord being there, just going back that far, it's like knowing how good Crown Lord was going to get.
Yeah, he went through this weird stage, Crime Lord. I have a memory for this kind of thing, but he was only a young kid at the time. But he wanted to. He started out like with the character, and then he had like some sort of psychotic episode. Not not the actual lad, like, but the character. And
Okay,
his promos were all over the place. Maybe he was just like experimenting. But at that time, yeah, he dropped right down.
and then we get the interesting. Oh, okay, being a little biased here, the interesting match: Project X versus the production team, which is Project X at the time being Max, Marlon, Finley for some reason, Hooligan, and Henchman, who I don't remember the slightest, and the production team being myself, the producers, Killer, and Rasta,
Yeah,
last 6WF champion, I believe.
he was the last 6WF champion of the. I think that was Marky's idea again. If in doubt, blame Marky. But
Or praise Marky.
huh?
Or praise Marky. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, depends on your outlook. But that match was again what I would call a river race special because I mean he's just trying to cram everyone on that card. I mean, I don't think Killer or Rasta had handlers.
No.
Hooligan, Hooligan and Henchman were both his characters. Um, that should have been a 6-man tag, really. I think should have been you and the producers against Max, Marlon, and Finley. That's how I would have done it. But anyway, Max won that. He beat you. You were the last two because it was an elimination match,
Oh, okay.
and it was you two finished it off.
Setting the stage for future bonfires to come.
Yeah, did you? Yeah.
Then we get Enforcer v Phoenix Rose for the Hardcore Championship.
Yeah, it was really. I wrote that match, so obviously it was the best one on the card. But no, it was Phoenix Rose. I think was an original from like 2007. He came back, and he was really good. Obviously, this is back in the day when we were on 606, so you don't know who any of these people are because a lot of them
No,
obviously didn't jump ship with us when we went over to V2. But yeah, he was a good promo. And obviously we know Enforcer turned out to be
yeah.
one of the best, really.
We get an interesting one because I want to. I mean, Mike Hill versus Rock V2. Literally, was Rock V2 literally just somebody being the Rock? My memory's a bit
The Rock's
hazy
son.
here.
He's the Rock's son.
Oh god, yeah.
Do you remember? It was absolutely. I mean, it's quite baffling now, but if you scroll back through some of the archives, there's actually a match earlier that year. Again, River Race. I don't know what he was doing, but there's a match earlier in the year with the actual Rock and his son tag teaming against the producers.
I think I know what he might be playing off, but that's a stretch at best.
Yeah, so then I think Marky, obviously, again, because he thought it was so ridiculous. I'm sure he created Chris Jericho's son for like a little run. Just yeah.
I mean, I know who actually literally was the American. I mean, something I do remember. I can't remember the name of the note. Was literally just the American Badass Undertaker. I can't remember who it was.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I can't think off the top of my head, but it sounds like we used to get some mad ones, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that match, Hill and Rock V2. So later on, they became tag partners, but the reason for that match was, I think it was a pay-per-view the month before. Hill beat him in like 10 seconds or something. He like embarrassed him.
Yeah.
It's a weird one because I've always thought Like when I'm writing shows now, I haven't done that yet, and I wonder how people would react. Like, because obviously it's really good way of favoring a storyline. But
Actually, I think in a way you've. I, I'm going to go back years ago. Didn't you write me v Marty Helms where he beat me in like 40 seconds?
all right, okay, fair enough. Yeah, you probably
This
deserved it.
wasn't. It wasn't a pay per view. I think it was just a random show, and it was pre-COVID.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, we experimented a bit more then, didn't we? But I don't know, because I think it is a good kind of way. I mean, people who fit your character, you might be a bit annoyed, but
I mean,
it does happen, doesn't it?
yeah. Then we move on to the next match, which is Acer and Hero. Oh dear God, the experience there versus Cassius and Zheng Zi, I believe,
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
in a Tibetan torture match. I don't.
Yes. I mean, do you not know this gimmick?
No, I don't. Like I say, I don't. Like I say, I don't know how. If there's any new gimmicks, it's not. I don't know them. It's just.
Yeah. So it's I believe it's supposed to be some sort of creation of Cassius C. We've done a few of them, I think, in the early years, but the way it looked was different each time. So I reread this one. Apparently, they're in a cage, and it's a
So,
two falls, so 2 out of 3 falls match or something. But the cage is just barbed wire.
okay, that's different from what I was thinking of.
And then I think there's another version of it later on, which again is just the ropes are all replaced by barbed wire. It's a match that only really suited in it because it's like his match. It's a bit like what's he called, Great Khali and the Punjabi prisoner.
Yeah,
So if Cassius isn't involved, it doesn't fit. I don't think as well.
yeah. I mean, I can remember that. I think the first Punjabi print was it the first one or the second one? It was Undertaker, and oh god, Carly got like like he had elevated enzymes, so he swapped him out for the Big Show.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it just didn't. It was a bit weird then, wasn't it? It didn't quite. It's a strange one because I like how that Punjabi prison looks. Like I think it looks really cool, but because Carly's in it and he's obviously shite, like it never looks good. Like the matches themselves aren't great.
I can imagine like I don't know CZW pulling off something like that, except they will actually spike somebody on one of those on one of the just one of the cages.
Yeah, we could get away with it, couldn't we? Because obviously it's fictional, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, let's just impale Logan Kincaid.
Oh, he'd be up. He'd probably be up for it.
Oh god, who ended up winning that one?
Who won that match?
Yeah,
The Z's won, I think.
yeah, understandable.
Pretty sure they did. Yeah.
Well, just to clarify, folks, I only have a card. I do not have the results.
Yeah, I think they did because it was Cassius. Cassius had only just joined. Because Demon had been doing the Diablo character, hadn't he, for a long time, and then he moved on to Cassius.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
And
I'm just
Cassius,
looking for. I'm just scanning the card to see if Diablo shows up.
The story is or something that basically that's where Cassius came from. So Diablo had found him in Tibet or something.
Okay.
So the logical match to have it would have actually been, personally for me, Cassius and Diablo in this Tibetan torture match. But obviously that would have meant Demon promoing against himself. But he could have pulled it. He could have pulled it off.
Yeah, with hindsight, we know he could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
Then we get to the title v title ladder match of Abe Corn versus yourself.
That's correct. Yeah. Less said about that, the better.
Oh, did you take an absolute kicking?
No, but he did win. I think he was called Dave, wasn't he, in real life? He was a good promoer. Back in the day, I think we're probably a bit mean to him, to be fair. We had a couple of fallings out. I remember that. Yeah, it's probably a bit harsh.
No, I was harsh as well on the last not on this version of the podcast, but years and years ago, the very first podcast. God, I trashed somebody who didn't really deserve it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was young and just a bit, but yeah, he went over. I think he deserved it at the time. So
yeah, you were just finding your feet.
I mean, yeah, I say that, but he joined after me. uh, well, he was good though. He was his character was quite. It was quite a neat concept. He like refused, didn't he, to be hardcore, like use hardcore weapons or anything. And he actually had a run, I think, as hardcore champion, which was quite unique because like he wouldn't use any weapons.
Yeah, it's kind of like oh god, didn't Foley do this in like ECW when he was a heel?
Yeah, somebody did do it. I think it is a storyline borrowed from somewhere else, I think, but it kind of suited him because he was basically because he was like a submission artist and really good technically. He was just hurting people that way.
And then we get to the 6WF World Championship match: TGA versus who's champion at this point versus River Ace.
Yeah, what is it with these guys? These people, these bookers booking themselves in main events and world titles. You'd never catch me doing that. But yeah,
Those who don't realise, JJ has given himself a world title and booked himself in a triple threat match against two of his friends for Born in Fire 12.
Look, it's all part of the story, okay?
Yeah.
It all makes sense, right? But yeah, this one was Master Apprentice, wasn't it? TGA, because they were. I don't know if you remember, River Ace had this stable, the Dynasty.
I remember the name, but nobody who was in it, unfortunately.
Yeah, so River Ace was the leader, and then he had TGA, Crime Lord, Mike Hill, and there was someone else. And basically, yeah, so TJ won the world title and broke away. Probably in it like a bit Randy Orton-esque, I guess, but he actually beat River in that match. River didn't book himself a world title.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He never actually did. He never once booked himself a world title.
And then moving swiftly on to the TAW Heavyweight Championship, the main event, Nemesis v Hobo.
Yeah, so I think on the first podcast we did, I think I mentioned this and how I didn't agree with the result at the time because Hobo goes over and Nemesis was like the king. And it's not a slight on Hobo. Like, it's not. I think I've said before about Trash TV, like, they weren't my cup of tea. But I'm not saying the guys weren't good at promoing because they were. And at that time, he was probably right up there as one of the better people. It's biased, really, because I just thought Nemesis was really good. And he was like the dominant heel. But I think this was supposed to be, the way I pictured it was The Undertaker, which was Nemesis versus Mick Foley. That's the kind of match it was. But obviously, Hobo won.
Yeah, obviously you don't end basically your biggest show with just. I mean, who has entered a WrestleMania with a bad guy winning?
It's happened. It's only happened like 1 or 2 times, I think. I think WrestleMania 16.
Yeah,
Triple H.
Yeah, it's 2000. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one. But even I don't know. I think was it the 25th anniversary one?
Cody v. Roman. Cody v. Roman won.
Yeah, Cody Roman won. But I think on the flip side of that, the 25th anniversary one, which was Triple H versus Randy Orton, and Triple H was the face and the champion, but Randy should have won. And I think the whole crowd expected him to win. That's when he was like peak, like psycho.
Sorry, I think everyone in the audience expected that match to be 10 minutes less.
Yeah, it was a long match too, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
but no, I get it. The thing is, it's difficult though for us, and it being it's a fictional thing, isn't it? So yes, the big events, people would still probably expect a big face win or something like that, but sometimes it's nice to throw a curveball.
Yeah,
I don't think it has
I
to be a
completely understand.
guarantee.
If it makes sense to the story, it will happen.
Yeah, so I just don't think it's like Born in Fire in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously, the main event is Kent and Rex, and obviously not giving anything away, but I don't think it's. If I was on the outside looking in, I wouldn't say it's an absolute given, because there are ways and means and storylines that you can
Yeah,
come up with. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, I'm going to talk about that as well because in regards to certain possible matchups that come out of this.
hmm
Yeah, let's let's have a quick look for a question first. Just to break it up, so we don't talk about 5 Born in Fire.
yeah, that's fine, mate. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't do a couple of questions, but yeah, whatever, go for it.
Okay. What this is good. I think you'll probably guess mine when I ask this, but I'd really want to know yours. What's the proudest moment in your e-fetting career?
Is this in character or out of character?
Let's go with for me it'd be the same answer, but let's go in and out for you.
Okay, so in character, I would probably say the first time I was world champion. I think it was like 2009, and I beat Cassius and Abe in a triple threat. But at that time, like, it was proper stacked, the roster. Like, there were so many good people. Yeah, it was just really, even though, I was just a kid, really. And it was felt like, yeah, it was just weird kind of being the top guy. But yeah, it felt good. It was a nice feeling. So I'd probably go for that for my character, definitely. What's yours? What's yours?
Honestly, for me, it'll be a case of well, this all stems from basically just the build up to I think it was myself v Cassius Z,
hmm
like the one-on-one match. It was a case of in a perspective, it's like okay, I am just hitting it. I'm hitting every single thing perfectly, and then when I look back on it, then when after it happens, it's like yeah, I know I wasn't going to win, even though I believe you told me you wanted me to. Just to just to get it out there. This was a decade ago.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did. I
yeah.
did, mate.
And then it's just a case of, but on the same part out there, it's a case of okay, here's the mark, here it is, and it's just like just in case of people basically just bluntly, putting it bluntly, going, okay, this is gold. This is gold. This is gold. Keep it going. But it's also one of my strangest regrets because I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep the momentum up. And that's always kind of disappointed me that I couldn't keep that quality level up.
Yeah. So I remember that. I think at the time I was not the full booker. I was part of a team with Matt and Bia, and they really called the shots. I was just like I was basically just the match writer. Um, and I remember your promos at the time were just on the money. And it was really good. And that match happened. It was an I Quit match, I think, wasn't it? And
No. I think this was just a simple one-on-one.
Right. Well, I remember the whole feud, and it all stemmed in it. You were involved in a world title match, and Cassius felt that you'd cost him the match or something like that.
Wasn't it a battle royal? I got to like final four, and
Yeah,
I eliminated him.
yeah. And, so I remember we used to have like these Facebook group discussions, me, Matt, and Beer, and I'd put forward for you to win. I think it would have been a good boost for your character. So I can tell you now, the big thing that went against you at that time, and I don't agree with it even now. So it was basically you altered the character. Do you remember? You changed his name and everything.
Oh god, the worst moment. I still regret doing that
Yeah,
massively.
and that's what went against you, and that's why you lost the feud. Now, it wasn't my call. I mean, because what should have happened in that moment really is that they should have messaged you and say, "Look, we don't want you to do that because it's kind of against the plans that we've got." But yeah, that was a big reason why you didn't win.
And honestly, think about it now. It was the right call for me to lose that
Yeah,
because
maybe.
I was
But
nowhere near ready. I was nowhere. I mean,
yeah,
like I say, going back to it now, going back to it then, and now it's like night and day. Like I say, the quality is still there. The quality is there. It's just unrefined back then, so I'd have been all over the place.
yeah, I get that. Obviously, maybe that's what they saw. That was their feeling that yes, you'd hit your best work, but obviously, Demon could do that all the time, couldn't he?
Yeah,
So it would be hard to stay with him. But I think he did well for the amount of time that it did last.
yeah. Like I say, on a personal, again, another personal perspective, I like being pushed. If you push me, I will push back as best I can. If I push you back hard, I know I want to be. I don't want to basically just see you in a whimpering cloud of dust. I want to be pushed back even harder. It's like the Japanese, the face slaps.
Oh yeah,
It's like that. That is the kind of promo style I want. You hit me, I'm going to hit you back, and we just keep going and going and going and going.
yeah. So yeah, I get that. I think that's what's good about our roster now is that most people are really good. In fact, I'd say that all the roster is good, and I think you do get tested more now, on a consistent basis.
Yeah,
Because we're smaller, but I think we're more competitive now, in my personal opinion. I
yeah,
think you look up and down the card. It's just different. Like you look at some of the cards that from like the early Born and Fires, and you can kind of distinguish between sort of the main event and the mid card and the lower card or whatever. But I think with our shows now, it's very very difficult. I think you look at like fair enough this pay-per-view now because we've had a few new guys. We've got a distinction with them because they're all newcomers. But then, second match on the card is tag titles. Third match on the card is you and Patrick's. That's a fucking massive match. Like that's third on the card at Born in Fire, and that's a huge match. You could put a world title on that.
I'm just looking through the other Born in Fire cards and just looking through it now. I mean, looking going towards Born in Fire 5 and 6. You can see the quality is there. I mean, you can see the splits starting to happen, but you can also see, okay, here's a quality match, here's a quality match, here's a quality match.
Yeah, well, it did. That's what started to happen, didn't it? As time went by, I think we did. The quality did go up and up, and obviously we evolved, like anything does. In the same way, like in real life, you look back at, I'd say, an '80s wrestling match to a wrestling match from this year. Like they're completely different. Like they don't look anything like one another. Um, And I think that's kind of what we've got now. Like that card for this year's Born in Fire we could change that. Like you could switch the positions on so many of the matches, and I don't think it would matter either way. Plus, I'm not a big fan on card positions anyway. I think people take that too far. Like I've opened pay-per-views with world title matches. I think sometimes there's absolutely no issue with that whatsoever. World title match doesn't have to go on last.
Everyone's card, the place doesn't matter. The fact you're on the card does.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should think, because it means nothing. It's meaningless. If you look at the card that I've put up and you see you're in match 3, that isn't a direct sort of correlation with how I view where you're at on the card or on the roster.
And I don't take it as that.
And nobody should, because I do things differently. Like I think once upon a time that's how we used to do it. Like we used to basically order the card in what we saw as the hierarchy, so to speak. But I don't like doing that because 1, it just doesn't really matter, and 2, I said I like to switch it up. If I was watching a show, sometimes it's good to have a world title match open, and there's certain feuds on the card, like Liam and Thunder. There's no title involved, but Liam and Thunder could easily be a main event. Like that could be the main event. Sorry, I think I got off course though. Let me just.
Let's swing back to let's go to Born in Fire 3.
Right, okay, go on then.
Interesting that I've gone from basically just the opening match is the Producers and Hooligan versus myself, Ivan Petrov, and Henchman in a dark match.
Yeah, so this was back in the day when we had a massive roster and we used to do the basically like pre-show matches, which this was. And yeah,
I don't get personally. I do not get dark matches in this. It's like everyone's going to be on there. It's like, why call it a dark match? Why not just leave it as the opener?
I think this was just, again, I'd just taken charge of half of the show at this point. River was still running it, and when you think, like Saint and Ace will be able to back me up because they had to run it with him as well. He basically ran things, and we were just like secondary to what he was trying to do. So he liked having these dark matches. For me, you're right. It didn't make any difference. Like, should have just been part of the show, but that's what he liked to do.
And then, just thinking about it, I mean, was this? God, like, how am I going against the Producers and Hooligans? It's like, what happened to Project X between Born in Fire 2 and 3?
See, again, I can't say for definite. Something tells me maybe at this time, I'm not even sure whether you were around properly. None of them other characters in that match were like anybody's permanent character. That just looked like a complete, apart from yourself, that's just a complete filler. Like, I don't even think I wouldn't have that match, mate, because it's pointless. I'd find you something different to do. Them other characters are irrelevant. Like, if you look back at the cards in like through 2008, 2009, there's so many ridiculous matches. Like, there's one where Hooligan, which was River Ace's character, has a boxing match with Abe Abercorn, and it's at Manchester Arena, and Ricky Hatton gets in the ring and punches Hooligan.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Yeah, you heard me. You heard right. Yeah, it was just a bit of a shit show, mate. Like, I'm not saying River didn't have any good ideas, because he did, but so many of his shows were utter bollocks. Like, just a load of filling crap.
As long as you weren't WCW 2000 levels of bollocks.
Well, it wasn't far off with some of it, mate. Like, we had he created. Do you remember the Honeys division? That's what he called it. That was the women's division, the Honeys division, and there was about 4, 5, 6 of us who had female characters. Yeah, it
Well,
was
we,
just a shit show again.
well, we do have the Honeys Championship match on Born in Fire 3.
Yeah, exactly. And that when I say it says there, Trish, that is actually Trish Stratus, right?
Oh, God,
And
it is?
it is, yeah. And Stacy Keebler was also part of our, and they were both tied to. I don't know if he was playing, both tied to River Race. I don't know if he was playing some sort of weird fantasy in his head, right? That they were like his two women. It was weird, mate. Honestly.
Oh, God, just, Okay,
I think
let's
Stone
just.
Cold Steve Austin was a character at one point as well.
And folks, the reason why I'm finding this weird is it's just a case of like, it's just, I don't know. It just feels so unnatural, basically. Oh, hi, this is Kurt Angle, played by somebody else. It's like, you're
Yeah,
not
it was really
Kurt.
weird. It was weird.
Okay, then we're going to the first, then we're going to the, I suppose, I don't want to call it traditional, but I think it kind of is. The Freshers Ball, Kane Ryder v Eddie Lee Creevy versus John Paul Anderson versus everyone's favourite Percy Percival versus Tyson Armstrong.
Yeah. So Freshers Ball, it is a tradition. I think we've obviously got it again this year. It's always gets sort of cracked out when we have like an influx of new members, which is quite a good idea because it obviously one of them gets to step up after and fight for championships. So this one, Kane Ryder and Eddie Lee Creevy were a tag team called the Fists of Fun, and even though it's never been confirmed, I'm pretty sure this was Hobo and Enforcer, right, with different characters.
Okay.
John Paul Anderson was a Jerome Dubois character. That was his brother. It was not in real life, but the character was Dubois' brother.
Yeah.
And he was like a pastor or something. As in somebody that works in the church, not the dish. Obviously, yeah, Percy. And then Tyson Armstrong. We all know the Tyson Armstrong story, who I would again like to reiterate was not me, despite what I've heard. I never created this character. It was some Scottish lad.
Who ended up winning the first Freshers Ball?
The first ever Freshers Ball, I believe, was won by Hobo.
Okay, let me reiterate. Who won this Freshers Ball at Born in Fire 3?
Oh, sorry, Tyson Armstrong won this one. He won that, and then he won the internet title like a month or two later. He went like 6 months unbeaten.
And he's just currently looking down. He's challenging Crime Lord at Born in Fire 4 for the 60W World Championship.
And he wins the title. He wins the title at Born in Fire 4. And then the month later, the guy disappeared and never promoted ever again.
Which is such a shame.
It is a shame because, you know, he probably got booked better than any character that had ever been booked before. Like, I was wanting to book him like a Goldberg run. So we did that for like 6 months, right? And then I had to step away from it for a few months. And when I came back, he'd lost, but he was still like up there towards the top. And we got him this match, and it was like, you know, this was the story, the culmination. He beats Crime Lord, and then he just disappeared. So yeah, that's why we're always very, very dubious now of overbooking like a newbie. Do you know what I mean? Because like Rex has had a great run, like a great push for a rookie, but he's not a rookie, is he? Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, you're looking for a you don't want to put it on a rookie handler.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
I mean, let's have a look. And just a quick gander over to the current Born in Fire card. I mean, you've got the Freshers Ball opening there this year. We've got Angus Plague, Diego Romero, Hugo Browning, Kilbane, Marty Helms, the villain, and yourself.
Yes, Don Monk. Yes, lad. Oh, I absolutely love that character. It's like the greatest thing I've ever thought about in my life.
I just like laughing at that, and then I'm just picturing you now as Tony Shalhoub.
Honestly, I just everything about it. The promos is just so easy to write because he's just an absolute knob. But maybe he's just like me. But he's funny. He's good. But that match, yeah, that match is. I'll be honest with you, that's a really good fucking match to open the show because some of these new guys, mate, are really good.
I mean, I had a look through the previous show and just with where it is. I mean, Marty's return is interesting. I
Yeah.
get to see him. I mean, at the point, honestly, I can just see him being pushed further and further and further. Then somebody just snaps and just goes basically just hell killer.
Yeah, so the Marty Helms thing's interesting because I'm a massive fan, like, and have been for a long time. And we've booked him pretty well, very strong, sort of pre-COVID and into COVID. And obviously, a lot of people felt at that time he should have been world champ, which he probably should have had a run, and then he didn't. So then he got a run when we reopened the same time as you. But I think I've said before, I think I gave him the run because I felt almost guilty that he hadn't had one. But he hadn't been on it. He wasn't on his game when he came back last year. And he's been in and out. But yeah, the handler got in touch with me and then he said he wanted to try again, on something different. So it's kind of what we're doing now. And I really, really hope that he gets back to his best because I think he's really good.
I absolutely agree. I want him back to his best. I mean, considering it's just a case of, actually, he knows how to bring it.
Yeah, but this is for me. Even though obviously he's opening the card, and we've kind of put across in storylines that the reason for that is because he needs to prove that he's going to stick around. But that's kind of true in reality too. Like I'm putting him down there because I know he could main event, but I'm not going to put him in a, and hopefully he understands this, but I'm not going to put him in a marquee match on this show and him disappear again because, I don't want that. This is a huge show. I kind of want to prove himself again.
Yeah, you'd like it to prove himself to stay, to earn the chance. I mean,
well, yeah, that's it. He's one of the best. I know when he's on his game. Like I said, I can put him in them main event matches without even thinking about it. But also, yeah, but it's a hard field. I'm not going to say all them guys. I don't know what's going on with the villain. I'll be honest. He signed up to the site. I haven't really seen him since. But the other guys, Angus Plague, for me, he's the real deal. Like, I really like him. Diego Romero, he's had issues with the site. I don't know. He comes and goes. When he promos, he's good. I know he struggles. He's an American fella, isn't he? Maybe that's not an issue. I don't know. But
well, I suppose with the voting as well and all that.
Yeah. Kilbane obviously is BD's character, so I know that he's good. I know he's going to be a quality promoter. And Hugo Browning, again, this is the new fella that signed up. Is it Prodigal Son or whatever he's called?
Yeah, Prodigal Son, yeah.
Yeah, he dropped a couple of promos a couple of weeks ago, and I quite liked what I saw. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting match. We've not had this kind of influx of new characters for a long, long time.
Well,
so I think it's helpful for the Fed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're writing, you're booking this, you're writing this, so obviously I can't ask your input on this, but I'm going to ask you this one question. I think you know what it is. Have you booked yourself to win?
Who, Don Monk?
Yes.
Yeah, how you doing? No, me booking. Obviously, I can't tell you who wins. I've got not just for this match, but any match involving my characters. I think this is a point I wanted to make on the last podcast. I'm kind of interested in everybody's opinions, but it's hard for me booking my own characters. It becomes quite an issue because I feel like I'd churn out some good quality. And if I wasn't booking, maybe I'd win a lot of matches, but maybe I wouldn't. But there's kind of a bit of a taboo, isn't there, about booking yourself? And
Yeah, I mean, looking through history and all that, I mean, there have been people who booked themselves as champions. It's just like,
I know it's not a great look, is it? But on the
maybe
flip
you just want
side,
oh,
go on,
sorry.
sorry, mate.
Maybe you just want somebody who's like, okay, here's this person who's not involved with the match in the slightest, who will not be involved with the outcome of the match. Basically saying, look, pick a winner, go for it. I'll
Yeah,
like I say, they'll hand it to you, and they'll say, right, I've got a copy of this. I know who wins. You write it out with that person winning.
yeah. That's what it's hard. Like sometimes I think about just not having any characters, because it'd make it easier from a booking perspective. But it's a tough one. Obviously, we're going to go down the card and stuff. We'll talk about my match later on with Asa and Saint.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough one.
I can tell you with the promos, you're having so much fun as Tony Monk. It's like, okay, here's the time where you can just be stupid and crazy and have some fun.
That's all it is.
JJ is the serious guy. JJ's
Yeah,
a case of, okay, shit's going down, you're going.
and that's it. Tony Monk's not going to win many matches, mate. Do you know, like, it's not really about that. I think he's just a character who, in my head, I think like he'd be over with a live crowd. I just don't. Yeah, like I said, I don't really think about the promos. Like, I don't have to think about them. There's no real effort to them because it's just fun. Obviously, there's a few guys in that match, that opener, who, I think you can pretty much say, it's probably between 5 of the 7. Like, I'm not gonna Tony Monk. I'm not gonna win, mate. Villain's not around, so you can take your pick from the other 5. And I
Uh,
think it's tough. I think it's a tough choice.
Honestly, I think it's down to 2 or 3 for me.
Yeah.
No offense to Marty, but with the way he's been written and all that, I don't think he's winning.
No.
I think it's going to be down to I think honestly, if I was to put money on it, I'd go with Diego Romero.
Yeah.
This is my pick for who would win the freshest ball. I mean, it's just, I don't know why, but like say Hugo, okay, he's one of Alex Walker's people. I wouldn't. Still question marks about that. I mean, I could see him possibly winning, but I think Diego's just overall just got the edge.
These are a couple of good handlers, aren't they? We've found 3 or 4 through our Reddit promotion, which is grand. And I like what I see with some of them. So hopefully from this, it's not just about whoever wins it kicking on. I think there's a big chance there for quite a few of them to get themselves up the card.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, give them further opportunities against more experience. I mean, I say more experienced people. I think some of them got more experience than I do.
Yeah, some of these lads. I mean, the guy that does Angus Plague, I think he's been fed. Don't even know how old he is, but I think he's been fed for quite some time. Marty Helms has been a character since, I think, about 2013. So
on a card.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? But that's going to be a good match. Obviously, I know because I'm writing it, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'd be excited for that personally, like as a fan.
Okay, let's quickly swing back to a character who I'm going to butcher the name of. That is, it's going to be Jerome. Back to Born in Fire 3 for the Internet Championship. Jerome Dubois versus, is it Blair Mascherano?
Yeah,
Mascherano?
so yeah, this lad again, he was actually part of a tag team with Prodigy. And Prodigy was a, I don't know if he was TGA's character or another character of his or the guy that did Keith Leone. It was one of
Uh,
their characters. I don't even know if that was they were the same people, but um, basically they had a tag team run which was really good, and they had a match. They actually headlined a pay per view against Cassius and Enforcer, and it had both the world titles on the line and the tag titles. Which was a really good main event. They lost, but then they split. So this fella Boer or whatever he was called went it alone. I think he lost this match. Well, he lost this match to the Boer at Born in Fire, and I think he's another one. He just disappeared after that.
okay.
Obviously Dubs. I mean, we've talked about Dubs before. Good character, cracking heel. This was just the kind of the start of him in 6WF. So
Yeah, Dub's one of the few people who basically can say anything and piss me off in
yeah,
character.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's channeling like his own attitude or what, but he was brilliant at being a right knobhead heel, wasn't he?
Yeah. But in a way, it's basically a case of, okay, I respect the effort you've put into this, and I'm going to respond in kind by murdering you verbally.
Yeah, he was. I think he's just the perfect foil for anybody who's an out and out face character, like because he was like just a really unlikable heel.
And so I had minor technical issue there. Then we go to the European Championship with Xerxes versus
I think it
Cobra.
is Zerez. I think.
Xerxes v Cobra v Nitro Napalm.
Oh, honestly, mate, these three they all joined around the same time. Cobra, obviously, being in 6CW, and he went on, didn't he, to be some sort of mega E-Fed star or something, like on one of these big American E-Feds somewhere. Where they write like the proper long sort of 10,000 word role plays and stuff. But
Oh yeah, I don't follow the American side, but that just sounds crazy to me.
yeah, it's so over the top. But I mean, these three were. I remember at the time when we were booking it and they joined, we felt like they all had real potential. And two of them, Cobra and Napalm, actually went on to be world champions. This is one of them matches where I think, do you remember like WrestleMania 2000, Kurt Angle and Jericho and Benoit?
Yeah, the triple threat for the Eurocontinental.
Yeah, this is how I kind of viewed this match, was that these three were going to be like the sort of next in line sort of thing. And
Yeah, so basically it's kind of like who did one of the random bookings? I think it was Jim Cornette booked like the invasion, and he basically described it as these people on the side of the card will be on that side of the card.
yeah,
Basically those on the undercard will be the main event next year, or upper main event next year.
well, and this is how we kind of envisaged them guys being. Unfortunately, I think by the time we get round to the next year's Born in Fire, I think very few of them, maybe one, maybe none, are involved.
Zara's in the Freshers Ball.
I think we got Cobra back again later. But by this time, he was sort of, like I said, he was fully ingrained in this other E-Fed, and I've tried it. It's not for me. So yeah, that was a shame, really, because I think all of them had real potential.
Yeah, well, sometimes it can happen like that. Title championships come and go. You've recently just brought basically three of them back in the past 6 months.
Yeah,
Then we're going to you've gone to this earlier, the Honeys Championship between Brandy versus Trish Stratus.
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to waste too much time on this. I've got no problem with like the female characters or anything like that because we could have a female division if we really wanted to now. I just don't think many people are that bothered about making a female character. But the issue being with this, for me, again, comes back down to River. It sounds like I fucking hate the guy, and I don't, but when I look back at the way he booked it. So, Brandy was obviously my character.
Yeah.
JJ's wife and stuff, and I used to promo for her probably more than anybody else promoted for the female character. I think only Marky probably with Xanthi, Rose.
Yeah.
But obviously they couldn't just face each other all the time. We were like the only two that really promoted. Like I said, River had Trish Stratus and fucking Stacy Keibler, and they actually had a storyline where he was getting married to Stacy or something. But anyway, I digress. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of just him writing or whatever. And I think after I won that match, I think we disbanded it pretty soon after that. Because it was just a waste of time. And the thing that pissed me off with that is it's all coming back now, but the way that Brandy won the title, like I'd been promoing with her every single show, and there was an intergender tag match between Max and Xanthi versus Brandy and Hooligan, right? Who was River's character.
What?
Yeah, honestly, mate. And Xanthi was the women's champion, Honeys, whatever, and Max was the European champion. And like, Hooligan beat Max, like, pinned him to win the European title. And that's how Brandy won the women's title. And it really pissed me off because Brandy should have gone over Xanthi in a singles fucking match. And Hooligan should never have been anywhere near beating Max for any kind of title ever. Like, not even about throwing your toys out of the pram, about booking. It was just nonsensical. Like, reading it, like, this is just shite. Like, this is shite. Why? Who's writing this?
And how long before you? And well, obviously, don't hold back your feelings.
No, honestly, mate, stuff like that used to wind me up. Like, I just think I don't mind anyone putting a belt on. If you'd have put the belt back on River, I'd have gone fair enough. River was a good character, but Hooligan was shite, mate. He was just a football hooligan. That was his actual character. He was just a football hooligan that used to wear different football shirts. Basically, may as well just give him a fucking
He was
EDL banner.
He was basically the equivalent of the goon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. May as well just gave him like a National Front banner or whatever, right? March into the ring. That was basically, well, I think River was part of that, wasn't he? EDL or whatever.
No, and well,
I think that maybe it was him. Maybe the character was based on himself. I don't really know.
no, just to any political. We do not like to be involved with politics or anything of that kind in general. Just
I don't care about politics.
Trouble.
But yeah, basically, he was like Tommy Robinson. But yeah, anyway, it doesn't.
Let's swiftly move on to the hardcore championship match between Crime Lord and GDC.
Gonna get fucking thrown off YouTube.
Anyway,
yeah, so next match, go on.
Crime Lord versus GDC for the hardcore championship.
Yeah, this was a cracker. I wrote it, obviously. Crime Lord was off. By this point, Crime Lord was awesome.
If we're going back to the River Race style booking, he's gone from basically opening match to upper middle.
Yeah, and I think he was. I I think he'd been world champion as well earlier that year. But GDC was part of the stable with him. They were called the Crime Syndicate or something. And
Yeah, I do remember the Crime Syndicate from yonks ago in my memory.
And then this again was one of those kind of stories where GDC was getting better, wanted to step out of the shadow. He's such a good promo with GDC, and Grant Daniel Campbell, he was a Scottish lad, and he's the fellow that created 6CW.
Is he?
Yeah.
Again, my history is very, very weak.
Yeah, I didn't know this, but he did. Yeah, he created it. But yeah, he was so good, and he never won a world title in the end, which he probably should have at some point. But this again was kind of like supposed to be the progression of sort of he's in the middle 1 year, and then obviously next year he was supposed to be like probably looking at him to be at the top. I think he was in a bigger match the following year.
Yeah, he's still same position. GDC is in Border Fire 4 is in the European Hardcore Championships. Enforcer versus GDC versus Hero versus Hobo.
Yeah, then I don't think he features in a Born in Fire after. I think he just went after that. He was into, again, I don't want to go down the political route, okay, but he actually genuinely was into politics. When I say into it, like he became like he was in young parliament or whatever it's called when he was a teenager.
Okay.
And he wanted to become like an actual MP or whatever it was. So I think he went down that route.
Well, if he did manage to get to Parliament, well done. If not, well.
Yeah. Again, I don't know who he represented or anything like that, so I don't want this to turn into a political rally. Let's move on.
I'm assuming did Crown Lord win that match or
no? GDC won.
Okay.
I think the other member of their stable, Triple D, which obviously was a marquee creation, Duke Dillon, the bad guy. He was the special referee in the match. And yeah, GDC won.
Okay.
And that was disbanded the Crime Syndicate.
Then we've got the tag team gauntlet, but I do not know the competitors for the life of me.
Yeah, well, you don't need to know them, right? Because I'm not joking. Mike Hill and Rock V2 were the tag champs, yeah? Going into it. All the other teams involved are just a load of crap. It's again River just trying to get everybody on the card. Like Killer and Rasta, MC Zombie. Do you remember MC Zombie, which was like a rapping zombie or something?
Oh, vaguely.
Yeah, but the whole idea around this match was just, this is what started the 6WF, 6CW war. So at the end of the match, when Rock V2 and Mike Hill retain, Max Adamson returns because he left. He returns with Prodigy and they're a tag team in 6CW. I think they're called Team Phenom or something. And they challenge Hill and Rock, and they win the belts, and they take them back to 6CW. And this was over a real thing. Is the 6WF 6CW war started over a real life issue between Marky and River. I think Marky can correct me. And people like Hobo and Enforcer, they weren't happy with River, and they all left. They all left 6WF. They went to 6CW, or Marky created 6WE or whatever it was called, which was just like a piss take.
Yeah, 6W. I think 6WE was. I think first time I remember mentioning it was basically just 6WF. Well, 6WF had folded on V2, and they just basically ran it for a few months, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, we first created it back in like 2009.
Okay.
I think it was just a hit back at River. So yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think, you know that booking I was talking about before, when Hooligan beat Max.
Yeah.
I think that had something to do with it. Not because Marky was bothered about losing his title. It was just like the ridiculous nature of how he'd lost it and who he'd lost it to. And I think it was just basically the straw that broke the camel's back of like months and months of just very, very bizarre sort of booking decisions and stuff like that. So that led into the war, which
Yeah.
again should have been a much better storyline. Me and Dicey was running half of 6CW, I think, at the time. And me and him tried really hard to make that storyline work. But River just was not happy about sort of anybody from 6CW like going over against
Yeah.
our guys. So it didn't really, even though it lasted about 4 months, it never really got going.
Well, like I say, it's just a case of let's cheer Marky up a bit. Well, let's go back to current Born in Fire card. The Brothers of can't speak. The Brothers of Seduction versus the MVPs for the Tag Team Championships.
Look, we all love the brothers. I never thought I would. I mean, I think, yeah.
Sorry, I've got to ask you this. The show building up to this, there is a segment with Playgirl.
Yeah.
Was that a reference to Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, because Mike Masters, the character, I think is very, very like almost reminiscent. I think he's supposed to be, well, I see him as like some sort of hybrid of Dolph Ziggler meets HBK of like 95, 96. So yeah, it was just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on, mate.
Right, I can see Marky's having such fun with Percy. It is absolutely fantastic to see him having fun.
Yeah, I think him and Liam with Perez is just. I think I said in the first podcast that we did that I struggle with sort of the comedy, but these guys are just so good. Like they're so funny. I think the team just works, and I was adamant. As we've said there, just looking back at booking from like 2008, 2009, I don't like sort of cannon fodder characters. So for me, it was important when they came back that we didn't just use them for everyone to just beat on all the time.
Yeah.
So even though they're having fun and they're obviously they're comedy characters, I think it was still important that they were perceived as a legitimate threat.
Yeah.
Which I think we've done that.
Yeah, I agree. You have actually put them as a genuine threat. I mean, the Elimination Chamber back a couple of months ago proved that to me.
Well, exactly. I mean, Percy's headlined 2 pay-per-views, hasn't he, this year? He headlined the hour match at Scars and Stripes, and he was in the Elimination Chamber at Beachfront Brawl.
Yeah.
But I think the way we've done it and the promos from Marky and Liam and the way we've wrote it in shows, I don't think it's an unbelievable. Like, I think it's all making sense. I think they're a good team. You know, they deserve to be the champions. I'm glad they are. I think it works. Obviously, they've got this match at Born Fire with Masters and Jimmy Phillips. It's a shame with this because Masters, when he promos, like I thought his promo last week was absolutely brilliant. He comes and goes, but he does promo. He's just not very active, I don't think, on the site. But Jimmy Phillips is obviously Gazzy's character, which is a real shame because Gazzy seems to have disappeared. I don't think he's been on the site for like over a month, which is a shame, really, because he's obviously awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he is really good to deal with.
So obviously, I hope everything's all right with him. So that team was kind of thrown together, I admit, but we're hoping that we're going to gel. We'll see. But the brothers are a great team. I don't envisage a point right now. You know, Marky and Liam can decide that between themselves, but I don't see a point right now where we'd break them apart. Like they just fit, Like they just fit together.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it now, they kind of remind you that kind of fun, like kind of style attacking. It's like Fashion Police, or I don't know if you remember them, Three Live Crew.
Yeah, I remember Free Life Crew.
It's that kind of style, and it's like there are threats, but it works. It's not something like Rhino and Heath Slayer. And yes, they're
No.
It's nothing like that. It's like you can tell these are a genuine threat because they work.
Yeah, 100%. This is what we're trying to do. The characters have comedy elements to them, but I think when they're in the ring, we're trying to show that that they're good wrestlers. They're a problem.
It's like when they get in the ring, fun time's over. Yeah, you're gonna just get your ass kicked.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we used to do, or I think I've been guilty of it in the past. We've done it once or twice, but I'm trying to limit the comedy moments for them when they're in the ring. So we used to do a lot with like Percy, where obviously he was like overly flamboyant. A bit, you remember like Rico was,
Yeah,
and I don't want him to be like that. It's not because I've got a problem with that kind of thing, but I just, yes, when the bell goes, it's kind of want them to they switch into a different mode, and then they can do whatever they want again after the match is finished.
yeah. Basically, you want them to be like Norman Smiley outside the ring, but inside the ring, Chris Benoit.
Yeah, and I think that works.
Without all the,
Yeah, minus all that, but yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. Is that we can have fun with them, but when they've got a match, it's serious.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't see the Brothers of Seduction losing this. I can't see it. They are 2 foot. Like I say, I know it might be slight bias, but it's a case of they are so fun, even just because they're champions as well. It's like I can't see them losing. It's like it needs to be somebody really good to knock them off. That sounds wrong. There needs to be like a quality team. I'm not saying the MVPs aren't quality. I'm just saying there needs to be like a step up from them.
No, I get what you're saying.
Championships off them.
I think it's important for the tag belts as well, to kind of have a bit of prestige and like a good team holding the belts, So I think this is our chance.
Yeah,
Kind of what do they call it, hot potato win or whatever. It's the belts have, since we reintroduced them, I think they've changed hands like 4 times already.
and I wouldn't necessarily call it hot potato wing.
But it's, I don't think anybody's successfully defended them yet. Every time somebody's won them, they've lost it the first time they've defended it. So yeah, that's not a bad thing. Like, it depends. I'm not always a massive fan of major. You don't have to have really long reigns all the time either, though. Sometimes it's good to switch it up.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You just need to find the right balance for it, and I think the Brothers of Seduction can actually. I think you can find the right balance with them. I mean, if it was me, I'd give them a good few more. I'd give them a good few pay-per-views, and then well, this is just me speaking, and then just have them, lose just, but then have a rematch clause built in.
Yeah, what I can say is they're going to be around for a while. No plans at all for them to disappear.
Then sorry, folks, we're alternating back between this and this. We've not even finished Born in Fire 3 yet.
Yeah, we'll just freestyle, mate. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Like I say, just going back to Born in Fire 3 for the 6 WF World Championship, and I'm surprised this was not the main event. The Saint versus Snake Eyes.
I'll tell you why it wasn't the main event, because I wasn't involved, mate. Okay. No, it's not. To be honest with you, again, this was. I feel like I'm just blaming everything on River, but so way back when we split the shows for Shutdown and Lockdown, They were the two shows.
Yeah.
And he ran Lockdown, which was on a Thursday. And over the period, there was me or Saint or Asa at various times ran Shutdown. But the tour belt, the TAW belt, was on Lockdown. The 6WF belt was on our show. River always just put his fucking world title, and himself, obviously, because he's challenging for it, in the main event. And realistically, Saint and Snake Eyes, because at this point as well, Saint was a jumped ship, so he was on 6CW.
Yeah.
That should have main evented. It didn't. Snake Eyes was. Do you remember him? He was brilliant.
I like that. I do remember vague. Again, this is very vague memories for me.
Yeah, he was. He won the Freshers' Ball as well. I think we had quite a few Freshers' Ball back then because there's always an influx of characters. But yeah, he was one of them. Unfortunately, we've had a few over the years who he ended up winning the world title during this feud with Saint. Later on, he didn't win it here, but he won it later on, and then when he lost it, I think he just disappeared.
Yeah,
it's a shame when that happens.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's like all that effort, all that hard work, all I've lost. Bye.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, but you know we've had to deal with it a few times over the years.
Yeah. And then we've got yourself versus Hero versus the Booker. Can I guess? Can I guess the result?
You can guess the result.
Booker wins.
Didn't know I won because I'm the best. But the thing that annoyed me again, there's a few things that have annoyed me, but this match should have been me and Hero. Okay, that was the match. Like in any wrestling company, that was the match at the time because Hero was Hero, and at that point, he was like one of the best guys. And
yeah, I definitely remember Hero from when I started up.
And obviously, I was supposed to be like the up and coming sort of thing. And I think if that was like WrestleMania, that's the kind of main event you'd have wanted. But River somehow, I can't remember the full storyline, mate, but he somehow wrangled his way into this match. And it was a real head scratcher. But it is what it is.
Yeah, anyway, so you won this match.
I did, yeah.
Just looking out to see if there's anything on the notes. Right. Let's go into Boarding 5-4 if you don't mind.
Yeah, crack on, mate.
The opening match is an interesting one. La Pulga Loco and Mike Hill versus Chris Patrick and yourself.
Yeah, so this was... I was trying to think back about it. Now, what I think's happened here, not because it's a big issue about me being in the opening match, although...
No, you're no longer the best. You are now the opener now.
Yeah, I think what's happened at this point is I've just come back. I've been in real life. I can't remember. There's loads of stuff going on in my life, but I'd just retaken over, sort of booking it with Matt. And this was at a stage where I didn't really think I should be down the card, sort of thing, and in a main event slot. So, but it is a very thrown together match because I don't think me and Patrick's ever really had any kind of real alliance. I don't even know what the storyline is behind that. I can't even tell you. I wish I could, but it just seems such like a weird matchup.
He definitely means. I mean, I definitely remember the name La Pulga Loco, but I don't remember where from.
Yeah, so La Pulga Loco, he was a Mexican character.
Obviously.
And he was part of a stable with Hill. And my character, Solomon Riddick, they were called the Association. And Hobo ended up being revealed as the leader or whatever. But it's just the main. What that feels like to me is that we've looked at a card, and in the end, there's been left me and Patrick's, and we've just gone right. They can challenge for the tag titles.
I mean, going back to this now, I mean, obviously you weren't around for this, but looking at the rest of the Boarding Fire card, Boarding Fire 4 card, who would you put up against them instead of yourself and Patrick's?
It's hard because you look at that card, and a couple of them matches are absolute givens, like have to happen. So the Lex Hart Perfect Jack submission match, which was phenomenal. I wrote it, obviously. But
yeah.
No, but they were a tag team, obviously, before Perfect Execution, but this was their big sort of. They were establishing themselves against one another. That was a quality match. The Asa River Ace match is what it was. It was supposed to be them hating each other for years, and finally, I don't know. I do genuinely believe that we have literally just gone. We've got two guys left here. We'll just have to challenge them. I don't think you've got a lot of options on that card.
I mean, honestly, looking back at that, I don't remember my match very well, which was the hardcore match. I think I was just thrown in there as a face.
What happened on that match? I don't know. Was the end of that match is when Gregor's set you on fire?
Was it?
Yeah, and he turns into chaos for the first time ever.
Yeah, I remember you recently reminding me about this. It's just like, yeah, I'm here just to be set on fire. Well done, me.
Yeah, so I don't know. That could have probably happened without it being a hardcore match. I think at the time you and him had been allies and
allies, tag partners. I mean,
yeah.
Honestly, you could have just had Blue Dragon versus Nemesis 1-on-1. You could have put Greg as me against in the tag title match and still have the same result happen. It's just a case of where would you put Patrick's and yourself? I mean,
we could have fought one another, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that wouldn't have been a bad match. Yeah, strange, mate. I can't really. I remember the main events. I remember Abe and Cassius. I remember Crime Lord and Tyson Armstrong. And obviously Lex and Perfect Jack. I'd say they were probably the real standouts on that card for me.
I mean, literally just looking about it now, I think I'm starting to remember some of the stuff. Like I said, Gregors was basically trying to go basically halfway crazy already, and I was basically just trying to calm him down.
Yeah.
It's a case of I basically went, screw this, and just fought him the only way I knew how.
Yeah, it was a basically we wanted to get him into that. Well, he wanted to turn into that chaos character, didn't he? So it was about sort of finding a way in which to do that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
it was on you.
Honestly, going back to this, I mean, when you suggested, a little bit of spoilers, one of the third match coming up with Max Adamson as the special referee, if Marky had said no, you came up with Gregors as the option, and you had to remind me, he set you on fire.
Yeah, well, like you said to you, this is... He would have been an option because of his ties to both characters.
Yeah.
He obviously set you on fire. And he won his first world title against Patrick's. So it would have made sense from that. But obviously, Marky was happy to use Max, and Max was the better choice.
Yeah, understandably.
That's what we wanted. We wanted Max, didn't we? So...
Yeah, but as I put to Marky, I basically said I could easily see Max just going, "Fuck this! Here's your referee. I ain't dealing with your shit."
Yeah, well, nobody knows what's going to happen during the match, yeah.
No, but I also like just a clarification. This is we're segueing into the number one contenders match between myself and Chris Patricks, with Max Adamson as the special guest referee. I like this. Not because I'm in it, but because of how many options there are available.
Look, I think
you've not stated which championship it's for, which I think is really good.
Yeah, well, that is intentional.
Well, obviously it's intentional. I mean, I could see Patrick's going for, I see Patrick's going for the global. I can see Patrick's going for the TAW heavyweight if you win it. I can see 60W. I think he might. Honestly, I think Patrick might avoid that one. And then I could see him going for the World Championship as the 60th World Heavyweight Championship. I can see myself personally going. I can see myself facing you, or Asa, or Sane. I could see myself facing I could go for the 60W World Championship, and it makes sense. And obviously, the 60WF World Heavyweight Championship, I could see myself going for, and it makes sense. Besides, Eddie has constantly wanted to feud with me again.
For me, this is, I've put sort of the pretend tweets out about it and stuff, but this is one of my favourite matches on the card. For a few reasons, I think the characters are gelling well together, which is always what you want. Obviously, I know your capabilities. We all know Deck's capabilities with Patrick. Two top guys. And throwing in the number one contenders sort of angle, I think opens it up more, makes it harder to read sort of where we're going to go.
Yeah,
go on, mate.
Sorry, I didn't expect. I wrote a segment for it, which didn't turn out personally great. I mean, I would have, because I screwed it up.
I thought the segment was fine.
Yeah, it was fine, but I wanted it to be great, so it's a case of, I'm not really going to push for that again. I mean,
Well, it's up to you, mate. I mean, I thought it was grand. The problem with that whole show, I think, that segment was on, and I'd been on holiday. It was kind of thrown together, but
yeah, like I say, I was happy to help out. Don't get me wrong, but it's a case of I went with an initial idea that was completely wrong, even though in my eyes it would have made sense for all three people.
It made sense. It made sense. It just wasn't what we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My initial idea, for those who were interested, I basically the promo was basically Chris Patrick's revealing he was worried about his legacy and how he was, and so basically just went, and that's why the line Max said was, "Oh, now we get to the real reason of it." Because, like I say, Chris wants his legacy. Max has a legacy. Uri's legacy. Uri wants to get a legacy, even though he already has one. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Again, like I said, it's in a different scenario. It's a good story. It would have fit. It's just obviously the idea we've been playing on for quite a long time now is Patrick's came back to help Max when he was fighting Genesis. And obviously Max ended up retiring.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're kind of blurring the line. So whilst Patrick's is annoyed in some ways that Max isn't kind of looking out for him like he did for Max, it's also trying to sort of mix in that he feels, I think, guilty of not being able to prevent what happened.
Yeah, and taking out, and somehow I get involved in this because I was one of the people who was there, and he says I refuse to help. I will constantly say I just got my ass kicked literally the segment before. I was in no state to help.
Yeah, and that's the thing. he's not rational about it. But that's again all part of the story, And like I said to you, this is honestly one of my favorite matches. I think it's the whole card for me is brilliant. But this match could go a lot further down the card. That's what I was saying earlier about. That's why I don't really care about positionings. This
Yeah,
could open it, close, whatever.
like I say, I'm happy with it being I'm happy with it being where it is. To be honest, I mean, looking further out, yeah, you've got better matches coming up, but like I say, I'm fine with where it is personally. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to predict who's going to win here because, well, one, I'm involved, and well, it's just like I can see. Best I can say is it's written well enough that either of us could win, and it makes sense.
Yeah, we've
There is
kind of got
no sorry.
sorry, mate.
There is no winner I could easily call. I can't say I'm going to win because, well, one, that would make me arrogant, and two, it's just a case of it's been written so. It's the story's been told so well. It's a case of okay, you made it number one contenders match. Okay, there's options for everyone here, and you've got plenty of doors to choose from. If you want to go think that way, think that way.
Well, yeah. Well, this is it, and I think also what we're trying to do. You put a card together, and in the past, we'll put prediction thread up, and we'll do it. I'll put a prediction thread up today for this event. But what you want as a booker, I think personally, is I think we've got 9 matches on this card. You want at least, I'd say, half of them to be very, very difficult to predict. But I look at this card from the outside, looking in, and I think, the vast majority of them, I think we'll have different answers from people about who wins these matches.
Yeah, give this card to a random stranger. Give them the last month of show. Give them the last shows before the prior pay-per-view, and just pick winners.
Exactly, and I think, like I said, I think we'd have a lot of varied answers.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I say, I mean, if Chris, like I say, I'm not gonna get mad if I don't win this at all. Like I say, it's just a case of because I know wherever Chris goes next, he's gonna kill it. And honestly, just well, you know me.
But this, for me, this was a good. So it's a bit of a face versus face feud. I know Patrick's is showing heelish tendencies in that, but
I wouldn't call it face versus face. Honestly, I wouldn't call Chris Patrick. I mean, he's not a heel. He's just God, he's like a little bit beyond tweener, if you know what I mean. I mean, that's how I'm seeing it.
We're blurring the lines. Look, it's what we kind of do because we do it with a lot of the characters. Because what you've got to understand that in real life, people aren't just inherently all good or all bad.
Yeah.
So Patrick's isn't a bad guy because look at the stuff that he's done over the last however long. He literally came out of retirement to try and save his best friend.
Yeah.
They're not the actions of a bad person. But obviously he's up against you now, and you're more sort of white knight. So he looks more heel.
Yeah, I mean,
I still think he'd have his fans. I still think he'd have people cheering him on.
yeah, one thing I will say though, and this is going to be just again personal history. I do not see Max screwing me at all from a creative standpoint because it's a case of it'd be retreading old ground one more time, and it just feels like, yeah.
What you got to take into account here with Max, not giving any spoilers and stuff, but I know Marky would, if we wanted to have him have another match, despite being retired, we could do that. But I think we don't really want to go down that route. I see Max as more he stepped in to be the referee because he just wants it over and done with.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say he's not going to screw anyone, but it isn't the reason behind him being in the match.
yeah, I can understand that. I mean, let's see. From again personal perspective, I wouldn't mind facing Max again, but I think that story's done, and I don't think it needs to be reopened right now.
I think his story with both characters is done to a degree in terms of he had a massive feud with Patrick's in 6WF. Even if there is a feud with either of you, it's not going to be with him in a wrestling capacity, because we're trying to keep away from that. I think, as far as I'm concerned, we're not going to use Max to wrestle again. But
Yeah,
if it does happen, it'll be for like a one-off.
yeah. Like I say, I've opened the door for that, but that's a very, very long shot.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say never ever, but yeah, it's not in the plans right now.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Where were we? Let's go. Speaking of Max, let's shift back to Born in Fire. Actually, want to cover anything left in Born in Fire 4, or do you want to head straight to 5?
We can jump to 5. Not a lot to say about 4, really. I think I'll be honest, that's a bit like a sort of WrestleMania 10. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the poorer editions, personally. But
Okay, Born in Fire 5. We have another dark match. When did you fully get in charge? What 6?
no, so this is 6WF, 6CW. So I was actually running 6CW at the time, but we ran as one company. But Matt did 6WF and I did 6CW. So half the matches, that's why this card's so big. Half the matches on this card are mine. Half of them are Matt's. That dark match that's all Marky. That now,
This would be Max Adamson and Anthony Rose versus Jeff Brazer and Jody Marsh.
yeah. I mean, fuck me, honestly, right? I don't know what happened. You'd need Marky to explain, but that's his brainchild. I want my name. My name's not getting put to that. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it was, but that's all him. That is all him.
You'll have to explain, what was it, a fan servicey kind of thing? God,
I think what it was the. I don't know about. I think he'd obviously was unbeaten at Born in Fire, and I think the storyline was that he wanted to continue being unbeaten at Born in Fire. So he basically picked like the most random match ever. But something playing in my mind, right? Now, I can't say for definite, but wasn't there a concept on TV around about this time? Like a wrestling show on like BBC or ITV or something. Do you remember? And I'm sure Jeff Brazier was in it.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, it was like proper horse shit, but something tells me that I'd have to look that up, mate, but I'm not sure Marky wasn't just taking it off some sort of TV program. Apart from that, I've got no real words or explanations for that match.
I'm just looking through Jeff Brazer's career right now. What year was this?
2011.
I think you were on Dancing on Ice.
No, there was one where like they were training to be fucking wrestlers. I'm sure I remember watching a TV program.
I'm looking at his entire filmography here, and starts off as contestants for Shipwreck, and then I'm Famous and Frightened, then The Farm, and then he's been the showbiz competition presenter since 2006. Then he was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here Now as a presenter. Then Dancing on Ice. Then OK TV. Then nothing for 8 years until Celebrity SAS, and then Celebrity MasterChef about 4 years ago.
This one was like it was called like Celebrity Wrestling or something.
No, the only celebrity wrestling I can think of was like Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling.
Nah,
There
was like them bared out of what was that? Liberty X and stuff like that. Honestly, mate, I'm telling you, I haven't dreamt this. This is a legitimate thing.
Okay, let's. Well, hopefully by the next show we'll find out if you've actually lost your marbles or if he's true.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine, but I'm telling you, it was a real thing.
Okay, then following match is the tag team turmoil match. You're gonna have to remind me whose people made these teams. The Savior Assassins.
Yeah, so they were a 6CW team. So this match was to unify the 6WF and 6CW World Championships. So Savior Assassins were the 6CW champions. The characters were Mason White and Josh Valor, who were two young lads. I think they were American, both of them.
This incarnation of Genesis?
Genesis was Kenty and Michael Sweetwater.
Okay. Possibly the other names I can think of. French Connection is it Dubois and somebody else?
Yeah, it was Edan Ekram or something. He won. Remember when they did like the NXT on 6WF?
Yeah, I think I remember this. I think I remember the name barely.
Yeah.
And then Frosted Dice?
Yeah, this was Johnny Dice and Jack Frost, not the Snowman. I'm sure this was Hobo again, mate, honestly, like Hobo and Enforcer, but they were champs at one point in 6CW, and then they joined Genesis later down the line.
I know Dope and Zero, the tag name, and they have been around a little while.
Yeah, so obviously they were part of Team Japan, weren't they, with Kenji Hidari, who's on the card as well.
Yeah.
So you and Logan Kincaid were the 6WF tag champs going into this match.
God knows how I don't know why the fuck I came up with us hanging around a water cooler so fucking often.
It just became the thing, didn't it?
Literally, the guy's like, oh yeah, because I think people kept telling me what's around you backstage. It's like, oh, water cooler, okay.
Obviously, Genesis won this match. This was like this is when they were taking like full control.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good match. That was a good one. It was a good opener.
Then we've got A-Babe versus Enforcer in the hardcore match.
Yeah, so this was a 6CW match. Basically, I got them both to come back. They'd both left. I convinced them both to come back. It was like surprise entrance in the Gold Rush Battle Royal a month earlier or something, and we had them feud, and then I think they both left again. It was kind of one of them, but I wasn't too fussed because at this point I started to put people together, so nobody missed out there because it wasn't like I put them in a feud with somebody who was active all the time. Put them together, and we thought we'll see who sticks around. Neither of them did, so
yeah. Then we've got Crime Lord versus Longinus.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it even, mate, to be honest with you, but
I'm going off the Spear of Longinus. Yeah.
That was his finishing move.
An actual spear.
Yeah.
Then we've got Kenji Hidari versus Sean Styles.
Yeah, I think whoever he was just basically AJ Styles. I think he was only around for a couple of months again.
much like Michael Shane in TNA.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then we've got Ghazi versus Intermesio.
Yeah, so he was one of Crime Lord's characters. Who also joined Genesis. We went a bit NWO with Genesis at this point, where everybody joined.
Then we've got Scorpion versus the Saints.
Yeah, for the hardcore. This was a time when Scorpion was probably Bull was doing his best work, wasn't he?
Yes, and Bull was the one who I insulted on that podcast. So I'm going to apologize once again. It will never happen again. I'm a professional now.
It's what it is, isn't it? You know, he came back, didn't he, last year?
Yeah, I've not really seen much. I mean, I've not really seen much of him.
And he disappeared again. Could never kind of fathom with him. Not that it matters, but sometimes couldn't fathom whether he's from like a different culture or something, because sometimes it didn't feel like he understood, or like English maybe wasn't his first language, or
I thought he was like really young.
Maybe it was that, because it just felt like he didn't. A lot of the time, he didn't really understand what we were talking to him about, or
yeah, I think he was like a kid, like 10
back
then.
It just felt like a lot of stuff sort of got lost in translation with him a lot of the time.
Yeah, and the freshers ball that year. Please tell me please tell me Marky is involved with that name.
No, do you know? I don't think you'd actually guess who made that character. Big Al Lustley. It's got nothing to do with Marky.
It sounds so like a Marky choice.
It does, yeah, but it's not.
Was it you?
No, it's not me either.
Go on then, put me out my misery.
I don't think you actually get it. I think I could give you 100 guesses, and I don't think you'd get it.
Put me out my misery.
It's actually Jeff Steele's character there.
Okay, that's definitely a curveball I was not expecting.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Okay, Big Al Lustley versus Shadow versus the Dragon.
Yeah, the dragon was Blade.
Yeah.
That was his character. He was like a 7-foot Japanese fella. He actually won that match.
Okay. I'm assuming by Blade we mean Yarmouth Blade?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then went to the I'm surprised how many of the Freshers Ball people have not really stuck around at this point. And I must admit that's a tiny bit sad. But again, we've gone over this.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? I think when you get an influx of new people, the amount of people that actually stick around is quite small.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd like people to stay and enjoy what they're doing. Personally,
but
if you don't enjoy it, I get it. Just explain why. We'll try and help you through it. You know,
it's one of them. I think, it's like the Freshers Ball this year. We've got 7 people involved. I'm hoping the majority of them stick around, but you just don't know. Like I said, 2 or 3. As long as 2 or 3 do, you're kind of winning.
Well, 2 are guaranteed to stay around in that match.
Well, yeah, one of them's mine, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other one's Marty Helms.
Yeah. And Killbane is Blue Dragon's character, so...
True.
But it depends whether he gets, we'll see. But, yeah. Fingers crossed.
Okay, then we've got Jackson Black versus Mike Hill in a ladder match for the 6CW International Championship. I'm assuming it was 3-3 at this point?
It was. This was the decider. Jackson Blackman was so good. Like, I think the handler's name was like Aberdeen Steve or something.
That handler's name does. Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, Jackson Black was a original member of Genesis, and he was so good. But he's another one, just kind of fate. I think. I don't know. It's weird when we shut 6CW down for the first time, which is, I think, 2012. I think a lot of people moved over to 6WF, and then 6CW reopened in 2013 on V2. And I think in between all these moves, we lost a few people through the cracks.
Yeah. Then we've got speaking of, I mean, it's an international championship. I mean, we may as well go back to what I think this is the equivalent of. I'm not knocking either belt with this, but I think look at the EWF Global Championship right now with Daniel Riley versus Dicey versus Gazzy versus Jeff.
Yeah.
I want Dicey to win this, but I don't think he will.
Well, obviously, the EWF Championship is... The EWF was a company that I started in 2013, so I think I've already alluded to the fact that it's all building into a storyline that we're telling with all these world titles.
Yeah, you built it into a storyline and you've told me what it might go into, but I won't spoil that.
Yeah, we're not going to have 4 world champions forever because that's just mental.
Yeah.
You know, but the EWF match that we've got planned for Born in Fire, I think, is on paper fantastic. Obviously, Daniel Riley's got issues with all of them. The undercurrent story is that his contract runs out after Born in Fire.
Oh, you're right. I completely forgot about that.
You know, is he going to walk out with the title?
I honestly think it's either him or Jeff. Because Jeff without a title is like, I don't know.
We talked about Jeff, I think.
Yeah, the first one.
You know, and how good he is. And, you know, I reiterate that. Obviously, he's a top fella. He's a really good promo. It's tough because, again, Gazzy's disappeared, which takes part of the equation away. But obviously, we've been hinting at the fact in the last few shows that there's some issues now between Dicey and Jeff. So, but that doesn't mean either of them can't win the world title. Do you know?
Yeah, I want Dicey to win, but I don't think he will. I think it will either be Jeff or Daniel returning.
Well, Daniel's been absolutely boss, hasn't he? Like, I can say that since he came back last year, I think he's been one of the most consistently good promos that we've had. I'll be honest, to hold my hands up, I didn't think he was as good as he's shown that he is. Like, I always knew that he had quality. He'd been world champion years ago in 6CW and that, but I think he's been one of the best people that we've had since last May.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, I think he's really captured the character now. You know, the whole third person stuff, and it's just, I'm a big fan, and I kind of enjoying the storyline because everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on?" We've put Revolution back together with him and Perfect Jack, but is Riley going to leave? You know, obviously you have to wait and see, but
yeah, I mean,
just keeps people guessing.
I mean, I think this is not knocking him or anyone, but it's a case of the quality is so up there. I feel he can kind of get lost in the shuffle, but the quality is still good. But he's still there.
It's hard because I know what you're saying, and I think it's difficult from any perspective. We have a very competitive roster, so you know you want to give everybody the chance and showcase everybody. But again, not everybody can be the top person.
Yeah.
It's like anything, isn't it? It's like 80s WWF. Hulk Hogan just monopolized top spot. But there was a bunch of guys who, you know, could have legitimately been a world champ or whatever. But it was never going to happen because of him.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm not looking at quality or anything. Like I say, I know he's good. It's just a case of there's so much good around him. It's like a tree in a forest of quality.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a massive fan of him though. So, and we've shown that with the booking of the character I think
Yeah.
over the last year, I think it's hard. He's a solid guy. You're saying that about promos, but again, promos are subjective, aren't they, as well? So
Yeah.
what some people think's a fantastic promo, people might just think it's a bit of a middle of the road promo. Like, I think my Tony Monk promos are absolutely blinding, but other people might think, what's this dickhead doing? Like, it's just one of them.
Yeah.
Same
But
with Trash TV, isn't it, that we got at before? I wasn't always a massive fan, but a lot of people loved it. So for me, he's just good. He's just very good, consistent, solid, like the character. Yes, potentially sometimes. Does he get lost in the shuffle? Maybe. He's not the only one. I had this conversation with Dale the other day, who the Saint, and I was talking about the Scott Harris character, who I also believe at times can get lost in the shuffle, despite being a very, very good character.
yeah.
I just think it does happen. It's not anybody's fault, and it's no sort of slight on their abilities. I think just sometimes I try and give everybody a good storyline, but obviously at times certain storylines take precedent.
Yeah. I
So I
mean,
apologise, but sometimes, yeah, people probably don't get as much of the attention as maybe they should or want to have.
yeah, I completely understand that. I mean, it's like I would like to see both Riley and Harris. I mean, I'd like them basically going up towards like Logan Kincaid, Blue Dragon, that kind of area.
Yeah, and I get that. Obviously the Scott Harris match on the card with Perfect Jack, that
Yeah,
has the makings of an absolutely fantastic match.
because the European Championship does need more Harris. I'm sorry, Perfect Jack. I want Scott to win this.
Yeah, and I'm a massive PJ fan too, because I think again he's very consistent. He's very solid. He's tried something new with the character. You know, we brought him back for the Exodus storyline, and everyone else fucked off. Beer, etc. And Jack stuck around, and he deserves credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's a good character. Like I said, he promos nearly every show. But yeah, of course, with Harris, we've been telling a storyline for so long. It seems about when's he finally going to win a belt or whatever. Obviously, there's only so long you can tell that story for. But also, I just think he's a very good character. I know Saint has trouble with him sometimes because he thinks he's quite bland or whatever. But like I said, not Chris Benoit or whatever was bland. Really, he was just an absolutely phenomenal wrestler. That's the story we were trying to tell with Harris. Is that in the ring, he's better than most people.
Yeah,
And we've started to throw in a bit of the old hook and Perk Angle TNA days now. Like he's doing crazy somersaults and moonsaults and all this shit. And I think that suits the character. Instead of having him on the mic every show and having an interview with him in every show, because I don't think that would play up to in real life. I don't think that's what would be happening. That's not his character.
I mean, like I said, I do want to see it. Like I say, everyone's. It's just. I get the issue that you're having with this. It's a case of just like go back to Danny Riley as well. It's a case of he's good. It's a case of there's so much good around him. Like Scott, I do want to see him. I do want to see him win personally. Like I said, I
Yeah,
want
and I
to see
think,
because we know he can step up to that next level.
well, yeah, of course. We know Saint. We know how good a promo he is. Absolutely. I mean, it's not in doubt at all. He's one of the best. I think he's one of the best we've ever had. Like, not just now, like since 2007. That's why he's won so many world titles, etc. But excuse me. I think a Harris character is at a point where we've showed his capabilities, we've showed what he's made of. But I don't know. It's tough. Like I said, it's tough as a booker because Jack's great as well. I think it's a really good blend of styles.
You may as well get. Are you at the point where you may as well just go, right? Here's a random number generator. Perfect Jack is 1. Scott Harris is 2. You just hit that button and see where it lies.
I do think it's a 50-50. I do think it's a pick 'em kind of fight. I think you can book it either way, and it makes sense. I think for me, the thinking behind the match, it's a match I've wanted to make for a little while. Because obviously in our Fed, they've portrayed as 2 of the very best wrestlers. That's kind of what we're looking at. It's a bit like it's like an Angle Benoit, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the kind of match we're looking at.
I would like to see. I mean, is this Scott's first? This is not Scott's first championship shot, is it?
No, but he's obviously never ever won a singles title.
Okay, I'm just trying to think. Basically, just how he deal with it this time.
And this is what I'm saying about. Obviously, I haven't decided on the result yet, but that is part of my thinking. Of course, that we've kind of portrayed him as the nearly man.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can. How long can you book somebody as that? Like, it's a tough one.
And I mean, let's quickly have a look down. The TAW Heavyweight Championship, your match. Asa versus JJ Johnson versus the Saint.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you the same question as I did before with Tony Monk, because I can't honestly. I can see. I don't know what it is. But, I hate to say it. I don't think the Saints winning this.
So who's going to win this match?
Honestly, I mean, it's either going to be Asa or JJ. I can't put my finger on it. Honestly.
So obviously, part of it comes down to what we've already talked about. From my perspective, it's very difficult booking. If you want to book your own character as a world champion, a lot of people are not going to be happy about that. Now, it's tough, isn't it? Because you've got to take into account as well that I'm telling you a story. The story needs to be told in a specific way.
But going off the last show, sorry for interrupting.
No, that's fine.
You've basically gone for, okay, JJ's turning you've given a hint at yourself turning heel. You've got the Saints standing in nonchalant, basically watching on and doing nothing. And you've got Asa just being Asa.
Yeah, look, so we kind of switched it up a few weeks ago. Obviously, I kind of started telling the story in the tweets and stuff, but Asa for me, obviously, again, he's a good mate. And I think since he's come back, he's so good. And I knew that he was good, but he's been so good, and I think you could make a case that he's probably been the best promoer since the summer. And I think the character's fantastic and the story we've told. And we started to go down the route of, and I remember PMing him a few months ago and said, we're going down the route of like Edge 04, 05.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was where and obviously it led to the moment when he speared me in the Elimination Chamber and all that kind of stuff. But then I was reading his promos and his promos were so good. And I'm thinking, and obviously the character's from London, born in Fire's in London. It's very difficult to imagine him being booed by his own people. So maybe we need to sort of, I think WWF have done it, or WWE have done it before. Obviously Daniel Bryan being the main case in point, but sometimes I think you got to twist the story. So
you've also like I say, I remember. God, anytime, I mean, Regal losing to Daniel Bryan in like an episode of Superstars, and
Yeah.
that was in Blackpool. No, sorry, that was in Liverpool.
And that's what I mean. So we'll try to do something different. And me and Saint and Asa, we're all throwing messages to one another and working on the best ways in which we think this story can be told. It's not just on me. I like other people's input. You know, I've said this before. If anybody has anything they want to see for their character or any ideas, you know, please message. I can't say it'll always happen, but I'm happy to listen and take on board. So, yeah, I think this is a tough one, this match, because I think if this was a real life Fed, you know, it'd be a very, very hard one to call.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very hard one to call. I mean, see, it's a case of with the way Saint is. I mean, I can see Saint being a deciding factor, but I can't decide between JJ and Asa, honestly.
I think for me, it's tough in terms of, for example, say I book JJ to win. You know, I don't want to piss anyone off. Like,
Yeah,
I've always tried to get across that at the end of the day, for me, this is not serious. Like, and I'm not going to deal. I don't want to sound like I'm not going to deal with anybody who starts whinging. Right? This isn't like 2010 or 2012. If you start, I don't want to sort of lay down the law. I feel like I'm channeling the JJ character at the minute, but if anybody starts PMing me, right, about not happy about this result or whatever, I'm just not responding to it because we're past them days now. I don't really care. Like,
sorry,
we're all grown up.
You have a story. A story has to be told.
Yeah, we're all grown up. Like,
this is a chapter. This is a chapter in a story.
Yeah, that's what we're all grown ups now, aren't we? And I'm not having like toys thrown out the pram. This is not saying I'm going to win because I think it's very legitimate to put the belt on Asa. I think he more than deserves it. I think everyone knows that. You know, I've seen Marky put a comment saying, you know, really, he said, I think he said something that he's more invested in that storyline now than his own. He said, whatever happens, I really, really hope Asa walks out as champ or whatever. And I think the way we've told the story, that's obviously what I think the crowd and the audience would want to see. But yeah, like I said, it's like with anything, I'm telling you a story, no matter where it is on the card. You know, you can't have, if you want to tell a great story, the whole thing can't just go one way the entire time. Like, there has to be twists and turns, and I think that's obviously what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, again, decision hasn't really been made. Some of the results at the show are definite. Others aren't. See, it's hard for me from the perspective as well that personally I promo as JJ. Like, I've been promoing. Me and Asa did a really good back and forth last week that I really enjoyed. And you know, if I wasn't myself and I was reading my promos, you know, this is not a big-headed thing, but if I was a booker and somebody was promoing, I was reading the JJ Johnson promos, like, I'd be thinking, well, you know, this guy's a potential, he's a candidate. But the problem being that if I book it as me winning the title, it just looks like, you know, favoritism towards myself. But sometimes, like, yeah, it's just part of a story.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, if worst comes to the worst, you can always ask me to book your results. I am not biased in any way.
It's not. The thing is, it would never It's not like a Jeff Jarrett situation in TNA or whatever. Like, it's not me just putting myself at the forefront because.
But it's the implication that it's the implied because you've done this, you are putting yourself forward, even though it's not.
Yeah, I think what you've got to take into account is that the Asa Saint JJ storyline is 15, 16 years worth of story to tell. So there's a lot of stuff to get through, and bringing a tour belt in, saying, "Oh, JJ's booked himself in a world title," but obviously that belt is linked to all three characters, which is what we've tried to explain.
Yeah.
And plus, again, telling a story. Obviously, JJ's starting to sort of abuse his authority, isn't he? So he's put himself forward to a world title match.
Like I say, he brought back the belt.
Yeah, and it's for me. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. I've never really explored this side of the character before, and it's really easy to be a dickhead. I don't know what that says about me, like in real life, but I find it very, very easy to write him being a dickhead.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, it's just you get the chance to vent that kind of style.
Well, yeah, and Asa has been an absolutely perfect foil for that. And like I said, the guy, his handler, Anthony, he's brilliant. He's so good. But not only is he good, he's not only a great promoter. He's very, very creative. Like we've swapped messages, and he's on point with so many things. That same with Saint, and I know, maybe we're like a clique or whatever, call it what you want, fucking NWO. But together we're kind of carving something that is a really good story.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being able to work. I haven't worked with them two for a long, long time. Like, obviously, we all used to kind of shut down, like I said, back in the day. But it's nice to kind of swap ideas with people. And like I said, I encourage it to the rest of the guys, yourself, whoever. Like, I'll work alongside. I've done it with Liam on about 4 different stories now. I'm happy to work. Basically, we can co-write storylines if that's what people want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've spun a few your way, and God, I've just realised there is a potential option of me versus you coming up. But it's like one of like 60. It's like one of like 8 options.
Well, yeah, of course, there's a possibility, and you have thrown me a couple of ideas, and one of them may or may not be in the pipeline. I can't say too much, but obviously we'll wait and see.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, like I say, I don't know where. Like I say, I just suggest ideas, and it's up to you if you choose to go with them. Like I say, I'm not going to say you have to do this. You must go with this. I mean,
No, I know, but I'm happy to work with people. These are your characters at the end of the day. You want them to be portrayed in a certain way. That's absolutely fine. And this is what I've been trying to do. I've swapped messages with quite a few people on the roster, and just because if you've suggested something to me and it hasn't happened yet, doesn't mean it's not going to happen at any point. But obviously, I've got to wait for the correct moment with some of the storylines, because it's not time. Like, I need to finish telling whatever story I'm telling first.
Yeah, of course.
So like you say about yourself, possibly feuding with me. Well, yeah, it's a possibility. Obviously, right now, I'm just concentrating on the sort of JJ Saint Asa storyline. For as long as we take that, and you've got your own feud anyway.
Yeah, I'm literally saying after boarding fire, it's literally a case of there is a possible option of basically going, I win, okay, I choose you purely because I've never faced you.
Well,
So I've not faced Asa since probably early, but like I think we're talking like around Born in Fire 3. I've not faced Asa since.
I think this is what I quite like about the Born in Fire card, though, is that it's very open in terms of what we're going to see after.
Yeah, that's why I like you throwing in the number 1 contender step to the match as well, because it's a case of, well, I'm repeating the point, but I could, like I say, I listed the options that I could see happening after Born in Fire, and it's just like the ones that make sense. I mean, you could go a completely different direction.
Yeah, I think that is where we're at. Like, there are so many possibilities right now, and that's because the roster's grown again as well, which always helps. We've got a lot of. We're coming to the culmination of a couple of storylines, which then frees people up for new storylines, which is always an exciting time as well. Because we can change it up. We can put people together who maybe have never worked together before, or we can put people back together who've not worked with each other for a long time that we know, like, have a good chemistry.
Yeah. Let's speed this up a tiny bit because, we might just break the record for longest show.
Yeah.
Anything you want to comment on Born in Fire 5 afterwards? Because we got to Jackson Black v Mike Hill.
I think we talked at length about this before on a previous podcast. The triple threat match for the 6CW title was kind of Keith Leon's the start of his storyline with Genesis, and so that was a big moment. Yeah. And obviously, the Chris Patrick's going over Chaos, and Greg is sending the urgent PM for Matt.
Where did this start?
So basically, this is what I'm going back to. With like the PMing about results.
Yeah.
I don't know what had happened in the build-up between Matt and Gregors, who was the handler for Chaos. But for whatever reason, now Matt's a super sound lad, right? Again, I know we said this before, but I would love Matt to come back because got all the time in the world for Matt. But for whatever reason, Gregors was under the assumption that he was leaving Born in Fire as the world champion. Now, I don't believe for a second that Matt would have told him that. And I certainly have never told anybody, like, you are definitely winning or anything like that. But in his head, he obviously decided that he was fucking going over. And he didn't. So that was the match that was... And literally, the moment that Matt posted in, like, the chat, like, the link to the results, and the results are up, the next response was just like urgent PM for Matt. And everybody knew immediately that he was like throwing an absolute shit fit, that he hadn't won the match and he hadn't won the title. So he became like a bit of a figure of fun after that.
Obviously, the phrase has now taken on comical aspects.
But it's funny now looking back at it. I've said it before. People used to take this way too seriously. Like, I reiterate, mate, I'm in my 30s now. I couldn't care less. If you're going to start PMing me about your characters losing a match or whatever, I can't get involved in it because I just don't have the time or the energy to go back and forth about, a particular result. I try and make everyone's character look strong when they can. But you've got to accept sometimes that sometimes you're going to take a beating. Your character's taken more than most, but sometimes, like we said earlier, I might throw a curveball in and one of the main characters might lose in 10 seconds, but it's a storyline, mate. It doesn't mean you're shit. It doesn't make your character look bad because you can easily remedy it a week later or a month later, depending on where the storyline's going. I'm not going to bury you. Like, I'll never bury your character, but, it's like people say, I don't know how you feel about it, mate.
Sorry.
Kofi Kingston versus Brock Lesnar, right, is like a major issue for people online. I don't know how you feel about it.
I would have given Kofi at least 5 minutes, not given the Ricochet treatment.
But in reality, Brock Lesnar would fucking murder Kofi Kingston, right? And Brock ended the streak. Like, he took Cena at Suplex City And like Brock comes from the MMA world, fair enough. He beat him with an F5 or whatever. But you've got to. This is what I wonder sometimes with my writing, is that Brock comes from a world where one punch can end the fight. Like, and I understand in wrestling we're trying to tell a story, but sometimes I think we extend the truth of serious situations. Like, we hardly used to have submission finishes in 6WF and 6CW because people used to whinge because their character tapped out. So what? People tap out in MMA all the time. Doesn't make you soft. It means that you don't want to get your legs snapped off or something like that. Like,
Or
it is.
sorry.
No, go on, mate.
No, I just remember one of the most humorous submissions was Chavo. I think I mentioned this before. Chavo Guerrero versus Stevie Ray, and it's a handshake.
All right.
And Chavo is saying, "I quit" on the handshake, and the ref accepts it.
This is what I'm saying.
Sorry, that's one of the brilliant finishes I've ever seen.
Nobody's character's getting buried, mate. But you know what? We've had more submissions finishes recently. Obviously, we did the dicey one at Beachfront Brawl where he passed out and he didn't tap out. We had Harris tap out to Riley when Riley won the EWF Championship. Mate, I can make anybody's character tap out. And if you're going to whinge about it, like, again, I think you need to sort of rethink. Submissions are like one of the most, that's why they call submissions one of the most painful things in the world. You know, most WWE superstars, whatever, have tapped out at some point in their career. Like, in fact, I can't think of one who hasn't. Like, all the top guys have tapped out. I've seen them all tap out.
I mean, for some you have to go back a long time.
Yeah, fair enough, right? And you try to tell a story. I'm not saying that everyone's going to tap out every week, but you know, if I choose to have you tap out, there'll be a reason behind it. And it's not. At the end of the day, I might need to sell the fact. We did a storyline going back. It wasn't quite 10 years, but remember when Ollie did the O'Callahan character?
Yeah.
Very, very good character. That was Ollie at his best. And his whole thing was submission. JJ tapped out on pay-per-view to O'Callahan because it made sense. Because we were trying to get him over as a real threat. That the fact that when he locked in a submission against anyone, he could finish the match. And it annoys me sometimes because not so much now. Like I said, the guys we've got now are pretty cool. Like, I like our setup. But in the past, it used to get whined about. And I'm just so glad that them days are no longer with us. It was so serious, mate. And I remember when Twist used to do that. Do you remember the tree of 6WF or whatever it was called?
Oh, God, yeah. The tree was a funny little thing for like 2 weeks.
And it's like people obviously going mental about where they positioned on the tree or whatever. And at the end of the day, what does it matter? Do you know?
The most important thing is you are having fun doing what you're doing.
That's what, for me, stuff like that and trees and stuff like. Again, it's almost like a self-congratulatory, like, oh, I want everyone to say I'm the best, or I want to be up there. Like, it doesn't matter. Are you enjoying it? Yeah. You're having a good time? Yeah. That's all that matters. You know, maybe you'll win a fake belt, maybe you won't, right? But it's just, I don't know, stuff like that disgruntles me. I'm so glad we don't really deal with it. I don't think we've really had any cases of that since we restarted sort of last year. But if it does occur, you know, just obviously a message to everybody, just don't bother because I'm not interested.
And I will say, on the outsider's perspective, it's a story. Let's see where the story finishes and see where the story goes, and see where you go from it.
Yeah,
you can have your own theory. You can have your own theories about it and how you want to go and how it should be and all that in your head. But if the guy in charge has a different way of doing it and has a plan, go with the plan.
it's not. The thing is, this isn't like it's my way or the highway kind of thing. Because I've just said, if you've got ideas, like please come to me and we'll work together on a story. But and I don't mind if a storyline finishes and you get in touch with me and say, it wasn't the best storyline or whatever. That's fine. But it's more when you're in the middle of it. Do you know? So like, if I know that a feud's going to be 3 months long, and I'm getting a PM or whatever after the first month because you've lost, then I'm not interested because I've got 2 months more to tell you the rest of the story. And it's just one of them. I said, I think in the main, especially now, everybody's appreciative of obviously the effort that goes into the shows. And I said, if I could I've tried to give you all world titles by introducing 4 of them, right? But not everybody can have them at one time.
Unless you somehow magically from Oprah, you get a world title. You get a world title. Everyone gets a world title.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's just enjoy it, just have fun. Do you know what I mean? Because
yeah,
I don't want anybody to just, mate. We've all got real serious things that happen in life, right? Me personally, I've had to deal with a lot of personal shit. This is just like having a laugh. So just enjoy it for what it is.
Right, and speaking of, you said 2-3 month story, 25 years in the making. Liam Wood versus Thunder.
Oh God, yeah. These 2 guys are phenomenal. Do you know the funny thing is, right? Obviously, if you've looked at the promo thread this week for Born in Fire, they've done sort of, I think, like a joint promo that sort of follows on from one another, which is kind of hilarious because Liam didn't know that Thunder had actually come back. So even though we reintroduced the Thunder character, Liam thought that I'd just brought the character back, but the handler wasn't coming back, even though that's one of his best mates in real life.
But just looking at the promo now, it is a fantastic follow-on.
Yeah, but he is actually back. Like, he is legitimately back. We deliberately kept it from Liam so that it would be a surprise when we got to Born in Fire. Obviously, it's fantastic for us as a Fed now as well to have Thunder back because he's a top promoer, top lad. Obviously former world champion. It adds even more weight to the roster. And this is just a great story. Like we've told this story a little bit in early, sort of when they were in EWF into 6CW, but we've never told the story from this perspective now, where Thunder is sort of more portrayed as the bad guy. And Liam's more the good guy, but Liam's never truly really a good guy because the character's too dark for him to ever be really good.
Like I say, now you mentioned that the fact he's back, and I saw the first promo was Thunder's. I honestly don't know who I would pick to be just, Again, it's another one of those tough calls. I mean,
this isn't a face. This isn't face, heel. This is what I would probably just call person versus person. This is for the crowd to decide because this isn't your usual. Thunder's not going at the fans. He's not going at anybody else. He's just going at Liam. And some of the things he's going to say or has been saying, some people are going to agree with it because Liam's not. We don't portray Liam as a nice guy because the character's not supposed to be a nice guy. So some people are going to like Liam. Some people won't. Some people are like Thunder. Some people won't. This is a very sort of more shades of grey storyline than your black and white heel face.
Yeah.
Which I'm very, very excited for. And obviously having these 2 guys together. For me, this is a hard one, but obviously we like to do a couple of little spoilers, don't we? In terms of, So on the last podcast and stuff, we talked about decision making in terms of Rex, Kent, Wood, who was going to be the world champion. You know, where we were going to go with that storyline. I always wanted to do Rex and Kent because for me it was the natural way to go. But then Liam came along and made it very difficult because he's so good. And then the storyline was like, we could have Liam, you know, against either of them. But then Thunder PM'd me and said he was coming back and he wanted to come back as a heel. So he kind of made my mind up for me because there was the logical way to bring him back was to have him turn on Wood.
Yeah.
And that just decided for me. I didn't have to, in the end, I didn't have to make the decision. Do you know?
Yeah. Let's just, I honestly, I think Thunder edges this here, but it is razor thin between them, though, to be honest.
It's another, this is why I love this card.
Yeah, Thunder takes it just.
For me,
then we get the. I'm sorry.
It's just such a great card because it's hard. Because it's hard to pick. If I was judging that and I wasn't the booker, I couldn't tell you who's going to win. We can go in so many different directions with the result. It's so up in the air, which is great.
Then God help us for the main events. Let's go with the first one of Blue Dragon versus Logan Kincaid. Hardcore Hell, brother versus brother. Basically a massive rematch from Born in Fire 6.
This is the one. Do you know, like, this is like brutality personified, isn't it? We're going to have a lot of fun with it because it's just have them basically kill each other.
If one of them doesn't end up dead, I will be disappointed.
It's just so it's tough because obviously they're brothers and they're kind of tied to one another. I think it's one of them feuds that it'll always be there, but it's important for us to. I think I put a tweet out about it, but it's important to not just have them fighting each other all the time because I think it spoils the occasion when they do fight. So obviously we've had them with no physical contact going into this, and they're just ready to rip each other to shreds. It's just going to be. I haven't even started sort of planning that match. I don't even know.
I don't even want to fathom how you're going to write it. I mean, considering the amount of crazy matches you've written since the restart, this you're going to have to top them purely because it's a main event. And let me think. You've involved coffins, fire, the cell itself, the elimination chamber, blood. I think you involved tacks and spikes and glass.
Yeah, we've had it all, mate. We've had it all, and you know, it's not just that though, is it? It's again, it's telling a storyline. It's telling a story. It's not just going to be. Obviously, it's going to be brutal. That's the whole point. But I think it's just going to be. I have very high hopes for it.
I think this match, and don't get me wrong, I think this is at the point where you need to go, this is my absolute limit of what I'm going to do, and then you go back down quite a way and you let it be dormant for a while.
I agree wholeheartedly that it has to be. This has to be probably about as wicked or brutal as we can go. And then, yeah, probably just draw a line under it. You know, you can't have a match like this with these characters and then next month, at next pay-per-view, have them go at each other again. Because, I mean, it would look daft. Like, I just think this is like it's not a one and done in terms of the feud or the storyline. But like I said, I don't think it can be a continuous feud. Like, I think they do this match, and then we have to look at other avenues. And then if we bring them back together again, it'd have to be somewhere down the line. You can't just
Yeah, but
keep
like I
putting
say,
them in brutal matches.
like I was just thinking about the hardcore element in general because it's a case of with what you've written already, these two are going to kill each other. These two are going to keep killing each other until I joked about one of them not die. I joked a little earlier about them. If one of them does not die, I will be disappointed. But it's getting to that point with me. It's a case of what more, how further can you go as a writer without basically going into farcical comedy? In
Yeah,
terms of like,
obviously, yeah.
here's a dump truck, full of acid. And it's just like, what the hell? And you just knock Kincaid into it, and he's fine. I know the WWE have basically shoved people off buildings before. I think one of the Money in the Banks did it, and he ended up coming back fine like 4 months later.
Yeah, you
But it's
absolutely
getting
hit
to
the
that
nail.
point.
Yeah.
I feel as though this has got to be the point where basically here is the line that you will never cross. In terms of like hardcore, it's hardcore hell. You know.
You've hit the nail on the head, mate. I mean, previous hardcore hells were so much easier because they were multi-man matches. So you can have mental things and mental spots, but it's, you can spread it out. But these two, this is the first ever one-on-one hardcore hell match. It, like you said, for hardcore, and it's something I've got, and I've thought about it, and something I've got to be extremely careful with is that it doesn't cross over from like the sublime to the ridiculous, because yes, obviously they've both got unnatural pain thresholds, which is what we've always kind of got across, but they also are human. Like, I know we pretend otherwise with the way we write it, but yes, you can't, like you said, you can't throw someone in a vat of acid or fucking, get chokeslammed off a multi-story building, or that's just ridiculous. Yes, we can push the envelope, but we can only push it so far anyway, because otherwise it's just not believable. And I think that's where, well, obviously it's my job to tell the story about it being brutal, but realistically brutal, And there are ways to do that without, I mean, obviously, yes, hardcore, and there's going to be weapons, but do you remember Roman Reigns and was it Jey Uso in Hell in a Cell? Do you remember that?
I remember them. I remember the match, but I don't think I ever watched it.
It was really good. There was no real weapons involved. There might be a table and a couple of chairs, but it was brutal in terms of like the beating that Reigns put on him. And like it was where sort of the start of the tribal chief storyline, and he was almost like it was his facial expressions and the way he was. This was hard because obviously I'm just writing it, but it was the way he was almost like telling Jay and not, why are you doing this? Basically blaming him, why are you making me do this and all this kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
writing it from a psychological viewpoint can be really helpful in making it brutal, more so than having them C4 fucking explosion charges and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a tough one, mate. I'm gonna need to plan that one out.
and then then we go on to the second main event: Eddie Kemp versus Rex Adamson. Jesus Christ, I do not envy you for this one either. This one is different this one is difficult in a completely different way.
This is fantastic. This is one I've said it. I think it's one of the greatest Born in Fire main events ever. Oh, I think the two are. I think the two of them. I think if you look at the list of Born in Fire main events, these two are right up there. 100% believe that. This storyline with Rex and Kent and Genesis potentially has become my favourite ever storyline. And I never thought a story would overtake the original Genesis. But I think this one might have. And I think Ed has created what he's done with Genesis is unbelievable. I think they're better than the original. He's flipped it on his head. He's changed the whole dynamic of it. He's been so good for so long. Go on, mate. Sorry.
You gave. Sorry, I think you gave when you gave him Miss Jessica as well. That was basically just like here's a cherry on top of a fantastic 5-tier wedding cake. Go nuts.
And he hasn't he? And I didn't think anybody could do Miss Jessica. Pardon the pun. I think everybody's done Miss Jessica, but I didn't think anybody. Yeah, I didn't think anybody.
I have standards.
I don't think anyone could do it better than Demon did. But I tell you, I think Ed might have. I think Ed might have put Miss Jessica on a whole new level again. And what he's done is just phenomenal. What are you saying, mate?
Like I say, I was going to say, and now you're going to get a PM from Demon saying he wants to come back and get Miss Jessica.
Oh yeah, well he's going to have to sort himself out then, isn't he? But I do. Yeah, Ed's been, he's been world champion now for must be coming on 400 days, and he's earned it, and he's done phenomenal. And like I said, this storyline is probably my favourite ever. We could have gone so many ways. I'm so happy with how it's turned out, and I think him and Marky have done phenomenal. I think Rex is one of the best characters we've maybe ever had to. I just think it's all clicked together so well. Yeah, it's right. Like I said, the original Genesis, every time I've asked the question, what's your favourite storyline you've ever done? What's your best? I always say Genesis, but I actually think Kent and Rex is now my favourite ever story. I just think it's been that good. I think it's worthy of the Born in Fire main event. I think it'd be worthy of any show main event. The two guys, Marky and Ed, have done unbelievable work.
Yeah, like I say, I'm going to agree absolutely with you here. This is basically Marky has pitched up. It's literally a case of they've both hit a baseball into space.
Yeah,
from just literally any baseball stadium, they've hit it into space, and it like I know this is going to sound bad for Blue Dragon Kincaid, but nobody's touching Rex and Eddie. Nobody.
It had to be the main event. Yeah, it had to be the main event, and there's no slight on Craig or Lee because they're phenomenal and they've done amazing. They always do, And like I've said before, card position is not down to where I view you, but at the same time, Rex and Kent is the story, isn't it? It's been the story for well over a year. This is the culmination of it.
See, they've both. Again, I'm just going to probably repeat myself. They've hit this out the park, and literally, if it continues, well, I think there's a lot of ways you can go. But again, that's not up to me. But I honestly, personally, I see this ending here. I don't see progressing further, personally.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But it's a tough one because we could, yes, we could take it further. We might take it further. I don't know, but again, you've got to be careful. Like I said, it's a year plus storyline. I think obviously Rex and Kent are always now. You can always bring them back together one way or the other.
Yeah.
A bit like Michaels and Triple H and stuff, but do they need to be sort of tied together for another 6 months? No, probably not. I just think this story. Yeah, I don't know, mate. It's gonna have the write up for it needs to be.
It's got, like I say, I didn't even consider that. Like I say, I don't even. for the main events, honestly, I'm going to combine both my predictions together. And this is going to be the exact same answer. I cannot pick a winner. Because regardless of where you go, it is a quality winner.
Yeah.
That's
My thoughts exactly. Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like I say, I'm looking forward to this in 2 weeks. I am so looking forward to seeing this. I'm looking forward to promoing for it. I'm looking forward just to seeing the results in general. Just seeing if you've thrown up any massive curveballs or anything.
I think this is, for me, potentially. I mean, the Night of Glory card was absolutely stacked and it was great. And this may be the best card we've had since we came back last May. I always say in the comments, and I mean it, it's not just me writing it, like everybody involved in the Fed has been phenomenal since last May. You know, and the reason that I write the shows and hope to give everybody good storylines is because of the effort that everybody puts in. And everybody has gone above and beyond. You know, I think that's why we've got the card we've got, why we've got the excitement level that we've got. You know, going back to that very first question that you asked me today, I didn't answer the bit where it was like, what's your proudest moment out of character? But the answer is this, like, this run since May 2023 to now, like, this is the proudest I've ever been of what we do, because for me, it was done, mate. It was dead and buried. We'd all gone off. We'd all doing our own thing. I got to a point where I didn't truly believe that we'd get back to e-fedding. You know, I decided to reach out one day just on a whim kind of thing. And even when we got a couple of people signing up, I never thought we'd get back to this point where we're at now. 20 plus people on the roster, you know, the most competitive quality roster, people having a laugh. Honestly, it's good. It's great. I couldn't say much more than that.
That's the most important thing. I mean, literally, it's nice the fact that basically we're all participating as characters and all that in the story, and we're enjoying it. But it's also so nice to know that the booker himself is enjoying it.
Yeah, and I am, because, you know, there've been times in the past when I haven't, and that's no slight on anyone. That might be stuff that's going on in my own personal life or whatever, but this is the first time we've had such a consistent run. I think this is the longest time I've booked without taking a break ever. I don't feel like I need one. It's just so enjoyable from start to finish, from top to bottom. Everyone's getting involved, like you said. The promos are quality. We've all found the system that works for us. Yeah, I just think, you know, we all deserve credit. We all deserve credit for where we're at. And hopefully Born in Fire will be, you know, worthy of that.
Yeah, like I say, and on that wonderful note, I think we're going to wrap it up here because we've been going nearly 3 hours.
Wow. Just to answer one question, Ed said, Dua Lipa or Sabrina Carpenter? Sabrina every time.
And I have no opinion because I have no idea who either of those people are.
Well, you'll be Googling them after this. Okay. But yeah,
No,
Sabrina wins. I mean, either or, like, you know, I'm the oil painting mate and I'll have either, whichever is available. But Sabrina, she's on the money.
Booker, you'll take both and like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm going to say, you know, or they say, oh, here's the runners-up prize, Dua Lipa. I'm not going to grumble about it. Like, let's crack on.
But yeah, literally, 60 WF Born in Fire is coming up in exactly roughly 2 weeks today, hopefully before midnight. And we will be recording the post show for this at some point after that.
Yeah, it'll
probably
be
the week of the 25th at some point.
Yeah, we'll find a day.
Early. Yeah. But like I say, obviously, 606v2.com. You'll find CCWF on there if you want to join us, join the people, have a chat with us. I don't believe PMs are available till you've posted 10 times on the forums, but I think that's really easy to get around.
We'll sort you out.
And we will cover the next show. We will hopefully be covering Boarding Fires 6 through 11,
12,
obviously, and 12, obviously, and 12 as well. And we'll be seeing what the future holds for all of us. See who's reborn, see who survives. And JJ, any last words before we decide to go?
No, not really. Just take it easy, everybody, and hopefully 1 or 2 people might want to join us for the post Born in Fire discussion.
Yeah, we'd absolutely love voices on here. It's just a case of getting the timing down. I mean, we might have to make it a weekend so people actually are off work.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Whenever suits everybody.
Yep. Alrighty then. Thank you very much for listening. You all take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful US election. Have a wonderful. No, Thanksgiving wouldn't be done, but have a wonderful time. Thank you and goodbye.
See you later, everyone.